tattooed on his back is, of course, a reference to his potent punch power and not in any way insensitive to the tragedy which unfolded in this arena when Ariana Grande performed Manchester. We'll never forget.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 345th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call this evening we have Ozzy Smith, Dave the Hater Lowback, Gabe Lewis, Andy Patterson, and a big fight preview later on for Taylor against Prograis and Chisora versus Price. Will bring out the big guns, hopefully, like Adam Smido Smith promised he's going to be coming on later. We'll look out for that. More on those big fights later on. We'll also recap the Newcastle show from last night shortly, look over some questions, few Bellew of the Weeks, a guest as well around 8:30, interact with you guys in the chat, see everybody piling in already, and the other stuff as well. First, let's travel back in time to Friday night, and Philadelphia, Artur Beterbiev winning a title, the IBF. He already had WBC of Alexander Gvozdyk. He's added that to his ledger, 10th round TKO. I think, Gabe, we were Team Beterbiev last week, weren't we? I was listening to an American podcast during the week, and they were talking about Beterbiev as an amateur, the fact he'd already beaten Gvozdyk, he'd already beaten Sergei Kovalev as an amateur, Usyk as well, and I thought to myself, hang on a minute, yeah, we forgot about this, didn't we? I saw him coming out with this nice jab, he stepped back, made Gvozdyk miss straight away, powerful jab, excellent movement. I forgot, Gabe, this guy, he can't just fight, he's not just a bully, a brute strength knockout artist, but he can box a bit too, he has that pedigree, Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't aware that he'd beaten all those guys in the amateurs. I knew that he'd beaten Gvozdyk before, and I think that most of us were on the same track of thinking that he was going to win the fight by being a brute, and it certainly didn't hurt him any in this fight, save for maybe a couple times when Gvozdyk landed some big punches, and Gvozdyk did land some really good, clean, hard punches, but they just weren't enough to turn him away. And, you know, when he wasn't just, you know, making himself look good by coming and throwing strong, hard punches, he was actually doing just as you said, taking a little half step back, making him miss, you know, really working him with a jab and using a lot of body punches. The body punches are what in the end finished the fight, I think, because it was kind of true to the old adage: if you pound that body, then eventually the head will be open and you'll take them. And that's exactly what you saw happen. Gvozdyk looked okay early on with his movement, and it was pretty narrow, in my opinion, the early part of the fight, in a few of the early rounds, because of the movement and the some of the combinations that Gvozdyk was going off with. But at the same time, too, Beterbiev was blocking some punches and making him miss some, too. So it was a little bit smoke and mirrors if you were watching it and seeing, you know, Gvozdyk leading really strongly early. I thought it was really close early, but as the fight wore on, he couldn't keep the pace that he was fighting at, and the body work did not help that at all. Tremendous show by Beterbiev, and I'm really, you know, I've mentioned before that I wasn't really huge on either one of these guys, not that I dislike them, but I think that fight made me really want to see what we can get out of Beterbiev in his next fight or next couple of fights. I would assume probably next up he'll have a fight with a mandatory or something along those lines before he gets an opportunity to get one of the big fish. Obviously, Kovalev is tied up and Canelo is tied up with their fight, so it'll be a while before they get to their fight and get done with it, and then for a fight to be even plausible with Beterbiev. And then also trying to think of who's the other champion in the division just fought last week or a couple weeks ago.
Bivol?
Yeah, Borval.
Borval.
I'm watching that one pretty quickly. They have kind of a decent time there that they can get together if they can make it happen. I don't know where all promotional things may stand in the way of that happening, but it should be good. Like I said, it was a tremendous show. I thought Teddy Atlas made himself look like a bit of an ass. He seemed like he was trying to put on a show while he was there as opposed to being a trainer. That
was Michael Moore all there again, by the way, that performance by him.
he just, I don't know what he was doing. He's one of those guys that's, I think he's got a lot of good points as a trainer and as a motivator, but I mean, sometimes he just comes on, and if he feels like he has an opportunity, it's like he tries to take center stage as if he's the main event, and it's like, dude, help your fucking fighter and get the fuck out of the way. Nobody really cares to see you in the corner. It doesn't really make any difference. Now, he usually is at least somewhat entertaining, but I thought he made a bit of an ass of himself. And I don't really think he could have done anything differently to help Gvozdyk, and I don't think Gvozdyk could have done much differently to change the way that fight went, because he was always going to lose steam. He was always going to be in a vulnerable position, and I just don't think he had the engine to really box. And then, he was off on a lot of his punches. His right hand was straying quite a bit to the right instead of coming straight down the pipe. And so I think a lot of punches, that was due to some movement from Beterbiev, but he just didn't look good. And I don't think there was any way it was going to turn out any other way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought it was quite tight early on, although I was edging it to Beterbiev. And then as the fight progressed, Beterbiev, he started to tire a little bit from what I was seeing, getting caught a bit more, began reaching, falling in, which he wasn't doing in the early rounds. And then that was when Gvozdyk started picking the better shots, nice shots to the body. I was surprised that Beterbiev himself didn't invest more in the body in the early sessions, because when he landed the body shots later on in the fight, he visibly moved Gvozdyk. You could see that he's such a powerful guy. Whenever he hit Gvozdyk, even on the arms, he had this look on his face as if this guy can seriously hit, which we knew. There was that pre-fight narrative, Andy, that Beterbiev would win the fight by a KO, or Gvozdyk would outbox him, and that a lot of people assumed that Gvozdyk, therefore, whenever he was getting through a round without getting knocked down, I know the first round knockdown was dubious, but whenever he was getting through a round, that he was outboxing him. A lot of people seemed to go along with that. That wasn't the fight I saw. I thought Beterbiev was matching him in the boxing stakes for my money. Well, was he matching him for you? What did you see?
He did, because, can we just go to the scorecard, actually? Is it John McKee, 87-84 Gvozdyk? That is way generous for me. I had Beterbiev up by 2. For me, early doors, I thought Gvozdyk was doing really well, but in that sense, I felt that he was doing everything that he could just to remain competitive and keep Beterbiev off him, because I think it was the 4th or 5th round I noticed that Gvozdyk kind of noticeably dragging in breath. He was doing really well at mid-distance, and that he was jabbing to the body, he was getting right hands off, he was maybe turning Beterbiev and he was getting right hand to the head. And it was maybe, for a flash period, he would strike Beterbiev's head back and stuff, and it was forced Beterbiev to reset. But as that fight gradually wore on, and if you look at it as well, as the fight became more closer, i.e. in distance and that, when it did fall in close, Beterbiev made every punch count. As I say, I was on the Gvozdyk side last week when I made the choice and that, because I thought it was more rounded, and it was just basically against a banger. And looking at the post-fight comments and stuff, it's clear that Beterbiev's not really the greatest trainer by his own admission. He's took this seriously, and he's promised to take it more serious than that as well. But that fight is going down the stretch and stuff. It was pretty brutal, and Gvozdyk spent 2 days in the hospital as a result of that with a concussion. So I think we can safely say that it's going to be a slow process for him to come back into title contention, possibly, because that was a fight, whereas when Beterbiev made those punches count and stuff, he was punching slabs of meat off him, and that's tantamount to kind of just bringing the prime out of you a little bit. So, as I say, fair play to Beterbiev. Mandatory defence up next against the Chinese fella. Is it Manlong or Fenlong, whatever his name is? Bit of a mover, so I think he might cause Beterbiev a few problems for a few rounds and stuff, but he's really coming into his own now, actually. And as I said last week, because I went with Gvozdyk and stuff, I think I maybe said I wanted to see questions of Beterbiev. Well, we got those questions, and he's basically answered them and stuff. So he is what he is, and he's going to be really hard to deal with. And just off the back of that fight and that as well, was the saddest thing me wants at this point, Kovalev to beat Canelo, because I really want to see Kovalev against Beterbiev at some point if we can get that fight made. And if Beterbiev comes through his mandatory and Kovalev wins his fight and stuff like that, I think possibly it's a fight to get made. But at this point, with Kovalev want it, who knows? But no, fair play to Beterbiev. That was a fantastic performance by him. Beast.
Absolute beast. We love a beast as well. I don't know how the judges, I'm not saying they were influenced as such, Ozzy, but I know the crowd seemed very pro-Ukrainian to me, so they were cheering everything that Gvozdyk was doing. And as I said to Andy, it's not just Beterbiev's power, but he's such a physically strong guy. And Gvozdyk, he was supposed to be the man coming on strong at the end of the fight, like he did with Stevenson. I thought he would come on, but he looked tired to me, really tired in the 9th, and he was absolutely knackered in the 10th. That's when Beterbiev introduced this evil body attack. Could you imagine him battering away at Kovalev's body with that? I think it'd be pretty brutal, to be honest. Did we underestimate Beterbiev's composure, Ozzy? His fitness? Did we underestimate his ring IQ?
I did. I thought Gvozdyk could win the fight, but I think, like Andy said, the guy trained hard for it, and it definitely showed. Brilliant fight. I had it quite close after 9 rounds, but you could tell that each punch Gvozdyk was taking took something out of him. And I mean, the 9th, he was, like you said, Steve, he was wilting. The 10th, he was just, well, he was gone, wasn't it? Absolutely gone. I thought Gvozdyk struggled to keep Beterbiev off him. And he used the pressure quite smartly as well. And, I mean, he's got freakish power, and he bludgeoned him. He just bludgeoned him, and it was... I mean, like you said, to put somebody in hospital for 2 days with concussion says it all, really. And he put in a performance that I really didn't think he had in him. We've seen him previously and been somewhat disappointed with him, against like substandard opposition. But perhaps it's one of those things. He knew he was going to be in a fight with Gvozdyk. He's left his... He's put it all in the gym. He's worked harder. He's raised his level compared to Gvozdyk and come out on top in a thriller. The Kovalev fight, I would probably take Beterbiev now, without a doubt. And I think I would take him over Bivol as well, to be honest. I mean, I think Bivol will do extremely well to keep him off him. We said last week about how Bivol is extremely small for light heavyweight. Would he be able to cope with the power of Beterbiev? I'm not so sure. But it was a tremendous performance, and one that has certainly raised his stocks. I mean, he's got this mandatory now with that Fan Long Meng, who I think a lot of listeners have probably seen him from when he beat Frank Buglioni over in Monaco on a Matchroom show, probably about 12 months ago now. So you would like to think Beterbiev comes through that relatively unscathed, and probably in a similar fashion, finishing with a KO. And then after that, I think the only thing we want to see is either a fight with Bivol or Sergey Kovalev, should he come through against Canelo. Because I think if Canelo does win the light heavyweight title, I'd be amazed if he does hang around up there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, hey to Dave, welcome to you, good to have you on the call. So we're getting a chance to see the cream of the 175-pound division all fighting over the space of, I suppose it'd be a month, won't it? But 4 weeks or so anyway. So we've seen Bivol, we've seen Gvozdyk now, we've seen Beterbiev. Kovalev fights on November the 2nd against Canelo. Canelo could be a possible dark horse at the weight himself. We haven't seen the latter two guys fight yet, obviously. But who's looking the best for you so far, Dave? Who will come out of this period of fights in 175 looking the best, in your opinion?
I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be Bivol. I think he's the most skilled, looking the best. From a fan favorite perspective, it's going to be beat or beef. I don't speak for myself there because I've always kind of rooted against him. In fact, I was rooting against him on Friday as well. I just never liked, I don't know, there's something I don't like about him. I don't like how much weight he cuts, for one thing. I never liked cheating the scales. That's sort of boiling down. But, I can't take it away from him. He really proved himself on Friday night for the first time against a top guy. And has good chin. He's been dropped, I think, twice before. Once against, who was that guy? One of your people. One of your Callums or Lees or something like that. He dropped them in a war.
It was Callum Johnson.
He got dropped.
I knew it was a Callum, mate. He got dropped by Callum, so that was fun. He can be hit clean, and There was one point where Gvozdyk did shake him up. Did not follow up, though, unfortunately. I would say Beterbiev is going to end up being the fan favorite of the division. Well, I think Bivol will be slightly better. I would love to see those two fight. I think that guy's not going to let Bivol coast, and that's what the criticism has been from Bivol lately. That would be, I think, a war. And I don't think Bivol is the kind of upright. Yeah, Bivol, from what I've seen him fight like 2-3 times. He's not the upright mover that Gvozdyk. He's not going to run away. I think that would be head to head, chest to chest, sort of pretty intense battle. So I'd like to see that. I don't know if it can be made. I don't know what the promotional situation is between these two dudes. But I think Beterbiev certainly solidified himself as a fan favorite on Friday. I mean, I can't take it away from him as far as the way he fought. He was working hard almost every round. He took a few rounds off in the middle there. Gvozdyk was getting back into the fight, moving pretty well. He had consistent body work, but Beterbiev's was by far the more hurtful. He would just once in a while wing in a big hook to the body and hurt him basically every. Also, the straight right hand to the body too. That hurt him. That hurt him as well. But Gvozdyk's, he hit him more clean and he hit him consistently, but it did not have the impact. And I don't think he had the gas tank either. He just kind of wilted and collapsed. I think Teddy should have probably thrown the towel in after the second knockdown in, what was it, the 10th or the 9th? It was late in the fight. I think he should have thrown the towel in there at some point. But to be fair to Gvozdyk, he showed guts at times, and he boxed pretty well. His career's not over by any means, but I think he showed against that other. I think he's a Brit. Some guy, Carpensi. He's a Brit, right? I think he showed against Carpensi. He's a little vulnerable.
Carpensi's not a Brit. He's from the Midwest or somewhere like that, isn't he?
Oh, maybe I think he's a Brit because he fought cleverly at one point, didn't he?
Carpensi, did he? Can't remember.
I think he did. Whatever. Carpensi dropped and hurt Gvozdyk in the first round. I think had him in big trouble. He was also in fair trouble to the body against Stevenson before he ended his career. So yeah, I also had a kind of a soft spot for Gvozdyk thanks to that, honestly. Not for hurting him bad like he did, but for finally taking the title off that cunt. So good for Beterbiev. Good for boxing as well. This is the matchup the kind of matchup we wanted to see. Competitive, decent action. Someone gets hurt. Good stuff.
Good stuff, says Dave. Andy, you were bringing it to my attention there, Beterbiev with one of these iron bars. Tell you what, he's got power in them wrists, man. He'd be able to legitimately kill you with his bare hands, wouldn't he?
He could, mate. As I said, it was Ryan Scala posted that clip up actually. So what it is basically Beterbiev in the gym, and he's spinning. I'm not a weightlifter, but those kind of like the bars for putting the weights on each end and stuff. I think it weighs about 40 pounds, and he's basically spinning it in each hand, maybe 5 times, and then swapping it over. So children, do not try this at home. You see all the fake gym videos and that and stuff like that. Because if you do it, you're end up going to snap your wrists. And I mean, fuck. Jesus, man! Like as I say, the guy's an absolute animal.
The beast, the very literal depiction of a beast, man. The guy, I wouldn't want to fight him anyway. Talking of beasts, a beast in the podcasting world, Adam Smith, as promised, has jumped on the call. Hey, Sony Smith.
I don't know. Hopefully I'm sounding all right. Hello.
Absolutely perfect. Hearing you loud and clear. Keeping well?
Oh, yeah. I've just got the darts on.
Whilst
tuning into a bit of a pod for the casual corner.
No problem, Smido. I don't think you're as big as a casual as you make out. I've got a one for you here, actually. We mentioned earlier about Callum Johnson. Big fan of Callum Johnson. Come on the pod before, nice guy. But I thought some of the things people were saying on Twitter were actually quite funny afterwards. I don't know what they were watching after this Beterbiev-Gvozdyk fight, but you'd almost thought that Beterbiev had looked shit. A lot of people were saying, I know it's the matchroom crowd and what have you. Oh, Buatsi would definitely beat him after watching that. Chad Hogan alerted me to this one from Aid Hughes 2019 on Twitter. He said, Callum, your defeat looks better by the day. You had him going and now have the self-belief that you can win. That being said, the guy is an animal. Other people are putting things of this note. After Beterbiev's performance on Friday night, they're calling for the Callum Johnson rematch, feeling that this has shown us somehow that he's there for the taking and that him and Buatsi can take out the beast. Were they watching something different to me, Smid? Help me.
They absolutely were.
Yeah, I think so.
Smid.
I mean, because the Callum Johnson was just like a 3-4 round firefight, wasn't it? And obviously, Friday went obviously a lot longer than that, but it's got to go down as a good performance. He's unified the division. It's a division that reminds me somewhat of the cruiserweights a couple of years ago. Pretty hot in terms of how the talent in there. Possibly not the hype to go with it and the personalities, but there's a lot of good talent in there. There's not many boundaries for or obstacles for them to be fighting each other and unifying, hopefully. And then we've had a sprinkle of hype and the glamour with Canelo, moving up there, whether that's a temporary measure or not. I think probably seeing the sizes and the punching power of some of the kids at the established guys at 175, I can't see Canelo staying there for all that long. But if he does, fair play to him, and it'll be exciting. But I think in terms of the Callum Johnson comments, I don't think we should be calling for a rematch in a fight where he was knocked out in round 3 or 4 or whatever it was. But I think the positives for the likes of Callum Johnson is he got in. He's not he's had time out of his career for whatever reasons, and he's into his 30s now, and he's happy to jump in with these guys. He did with Better BF before, and he might jump in with another Robin Bivol or someone else down there. I think Bivol's aligned to Matchroom, is he, or DAZN? Is that right?
Certainly is, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is, but yeah. Yeah, really underrated. But it was underrated fight going into it Friday. I mean, no British TV picked it up, and as a result, people like me have struggled to catch the fight in full. And I would have definitely been a watcher of that if it was on Sky. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Yeah, really, really solid performance, and it's got to go down as one of the biggest or best wins of any individual so far this year. I would say it's got to be right up there. With the best win, so yeah, good performance. And at the moment, top dog in that division. Maybe I always see it as a positive when they take a couple of shots sometimes. I got bored of watching the likes of Mayweather just not getting hit all throughout his career. As excellent as that may have been, when you're a casual like me, you want to see people getting it and giving some back, and that's what he'll do.
Well said, Smido. Good to have you with us. Hope you stick around long enough for Prograde Taylor. A little bit later on, we'll be talking about the undercard, Newcastle card as well. Maybe there will be things of interest. Gabe, before we go on to the undercard, actually, you mentioned Fan Long Meng there. He's the IBF number 1. Beterbiev has to take care of him first of all. But Gilberto Ramirez is up at light heavyweight, isn't he? I'm not too keen on seeing him fight against anybody. Don't really rate him that highly. Sells a few tickets though. Top ranked fighter. He is the number 1 ranked fighter for the WBC. So if Beterbiev gets past Fan Long Meng, Gabe, can we see maybe WBC number 1 Gilberto Ramirez being his next opponent?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of maybe depends on what the goal is for Bob Arum. I think he likes Ramirez. I think most of us don't really think a whole lot of Ramirez as a champion or his potential. He just hasn't really done a whole lot of fighting really good quality fighters. I guess it's a possibility. If Bob sees some potential in that fight, then I think he would go ahead and make it. Certainly one that I think would be worth making. I don't see any reason not to make it, other than if you're trying to protect Ramirez, which I think that might be the kind of fight that would bring out what we would want to see in Ramirez, and give us a potential glance at what he's really made of. Because I really feel like Ramirez has had, big fights that have produced the kind of grit that we'd like to maybe see from him as a fighter. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say that could be next. I don't see any reason why not. Certainly one that I wouldn't mind watching. Again, I think, like I said, I think the biggest thing for me coming out of that fight would be to see what Ramirez can actually do, see what he's made of there. But we should see Jesse Hart also moved up to that division as well, yeah?
Jesse Hart's calling out Rocky Fielding, apparently.
Really?
Super middle.
Okay, all right. I couldn't remember. I can't remember where everybody's at. Yeah, I think that would be an appropriate fight next. I mean, I don't see why not, because like I said, he's not going to get Kovalev or Canelo, and even if that were an option, either one of those guys, it would be Kovalev most likely over Canelo, but I'm really not sure that we'd see that happen. I just think now he's probably kind of put himself into a position where some of these upper level guys are not going to want to fight him, and then the people that should be making those fights aren't going to. So I certainly wouldn't mind it, but I'm not sure that would be where he goes next.
Just looking down the undercard, guys, I'm not sure how much of this you saw, but I can't believe Luis Collazo's still going. I remember him fighting friggin' Jose Antonio Rivera back in 2005, and he'd had a few losses on the record already by then. He's an experienced fighter, good, tricky southpaw, good head movement, but against this Kudratio Abdu Kokorov, Andy, Kokorov looked like he was blown from about the second round, but he managed to get on the back foot, picked his shots nicely, and then at the end, the state of that Collazo cut, I thought it was probably as bad as Fury's. I mean, no wonder he was screaming. The doctor was trying to pull it apart like a piece of meat, and Collazo was like, ah! It was absolutely brutal, man.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad cut, as it says. I thought it was an okay fight, actually. Collazo, one of those fighters that I've never really kind of gave a lot of... I suppose respect's probably the wrong word in that, but if you look through his career and that, he has had a pretty distinguished career, especially opponents-wise and stuff. I remember, for example, when he fought Khan, you're saying to yourself then, he's washed. I mean, he get dropped off. I don't know how many times Khan dropped him and stuff, but he got beat soundly on the cards and stuff, but then you forget that he'd iced, like, Quitter Ortiz before that, and he's been in with Berto and Mosley and all those type of fighters and stuff. So it's supposedly a kind of a good takeover, tough journeyman type opponent for what do you call him, Abdu Kakarov, for you pronounce his name, but he's new in line for a title fight now. I'd imagine that as well. He's one of the fighters, Steve, to be honest with you, I've never really kind of had much chance to have a good look at him. I remember he beat Charles, is it Minucci or Machuno, whatever it was, 1 round fight. It was in Singapore, and that's the kind of last time I saw him. So what I seen him, he was didn't dig his heels in from time to time and have it really kind of really bang away and stuff. But it's if you look at the scorecards and that as well, as it was clear that he was getting the benefit of any close round there as well. But Collazo, I think at this point now as well, is unless he's happy to kind of go through the journeyman status stuff like that, it's time for him to retire, I think, because he's just going to get fed up for these young contenders and stuff, and he's just going to start taking more L's. And so unless he's happy with that, and maybe just kind of fund his pension a wee bit further, and fair play to him.
Well, Abdu Kokorov, Andy's number 1 ranked for the IBF, which is Errol Spence Jr. Now, obviously, a few weeks ago, Spence fighting Garcia, you'd think that would be unattainable, but no, there might be a little vacant opportunity now that Spence has gone off doing all Formula 1 and stuff, because the IBF don't mess about, do they?
Yeah, well, he's obviously facing that charge as well for the drinking and stuff, but the IBF generally don't really create interim titles and stuff like that unless they really have to, and that, so they might call for a final eliminator between him and Lipinets. I don't know if that was some sort of eliminator there at the weekend on Friday night, whatever it was, but Spence, as we know at the minute, is going to be out for the foreseeable, I would say the next year minimum, so they might even strip him, to be honest with you, because especially if he gets arrested and he gets found guilty of this driving offence and that as well, you never know. As I say, there's no one to kind of hold up mandatory defences either, so it might be one of the rare occasions they might create an interim title, which they do very, very occasionally in that, but we'll just need to wait and see how it goes. But I did notice he called him out, actually, which was quite ballsy considering what's happened, like.
I suppose. I'm wondering whether the IBF might do what you say, Andy, interim or something in the circumstances, special dispensation from like a PR point of view. Because if you're going, you better defend it or otherwise we're going to strip you. It doesn't look great, does it?
It doesn't look great, but I tell you what, well, who does that Abdu Kokorov? Who's his promoter again? Is it Hearn?
I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know.
I'm just thinking because I noticed Danny Garcia's ranked 4th with IBF, number 2's vacant, so interim title fight, make it a vacant interim title. You know, might have Abdul fighting Danny Garcia rather than Lipinets, for example. Lipinets, Garcia are both PBC fighters and that as well. Or unless Garcia, Lipinets, PBC fighters fight for the number 1 spot, could you Abdul gets a belt or upgraded? Who knows? It's a political nightmare at the minute of that division.
Dave,
because also Spence holds a WBC belt as well, so that holds that division, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Gabe, I was just going to say to you that one person who ain't going to be fighting anytime soon is Collazo. I mean, we like a bit of gash on a Friday night, but that was taking the piss, man. You were like me. Why on earth were they ripping that thing apart? It looked painful from where I was sitting.
Yeah, so he goes down, and he was obviously hurt from the headbutt, and, you know, he was struggling to get up, and he looked a little bit dazed. So I think it not only, you know, had the cut issue, but he was, you know, somewhat damaged at that particular point. And so he gets up, and the referee goes over and just spreads his eye open, and, like, I was like, Jesus fuck, how much further are you going to rip it until we see his eyeball poking through there? I mean, it was ghastly. And I the doctor, I mean, I know that a lot of times they'll kind of open at it a little bit to, I guess, see how deep it is in there. And maybe that gives them some kind of indication. I'm not a doctor. I don't know that. Just kind of what I've always, you know, seen them do is they'll open it a little bit and see. And, I mean, I thought he was going to fucking shut his eyelid off. I mean, it was awful. And, you know, I think that needs to definitely be the end for Collazo, like Andy was saying. I just don't I don't see him carrying on in any kind of way, shape, form, or fashion in a successful manner. However, I mean, he has upset the apple cart a couple of times in the not so distant past and beat a couple of prospects. So I guess we could see where he goes.
Good stuff, Gabe. Thank you very much. Delighted to welcome our first guest of the evening on the call. We have Sam Bowen. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks.
Lovely. We're just talking about the American stuff stateside there, Gvozdyk against Beterbiev. I don't know if you saw any of that, or indeed if you saw anything of that excellent Newcastle card last night.
No, I ain't, mate, to be honest. I've just been busy here at home. I ain't had time to watch much TV at all lately, or any boxing, so I ain't up to scratch with anything lately.
Oh, don't worry about it. Obviously, you've been training hard, looking forward to facing Belfast's Anthony Cacace on November the 30th. Finally, you've got a date and a venue nailed down for that fight.
Yeah, that's what I'm most happy about. Obviously, I've been waiting a while now for the date. It's been end of this month, end of that month, but now I've finally got the actual date, so it is the end of November.
So what's your preparations going to be looking like then? Give us a bit of the timeline for facing Cacace regarding sparring and all that type of stuff.
Well, I started sparring already. I think we're just going to be sparring lots of different lads. So I'm prepared for all sorts of opponent styles because, like I say, he ain't boxed since the start of the year like I ain't. So don't know what his tactics are going to be for it. Obviously, I know he's a bit rangy and a bit taller than me. Usually my opponents are usually a little bit taller than me anyway. And yeah, just go from that. But mostly just sparring different people just to, like I say, get used to all different styles, and I should be ready.
Are you one of the kind of guys, Sam, that actually watches footage of opponents extensively, maybe a little bit? Do you leave it to Carl? What do you do?
Not overly. I don't like watching too much of him. I did watch him. I went and watched him when he boxed Martin Ward, because at the time I thought potentially I was going to fight either one of those. That never happened, but I watched him then. I haven't watched him since. And I ain't watched anything on YouTube yet. I'll have a look at him a bit nearer the time, but at the moment there's no need to study him too much. I think get a bit obsessive, some people do, but I'm not one for doing that, so I haven't seen much of him yet.
Absolutely. So Birmingham, it's not exactly your back doorstep, but it's close enough to get a good few fans down to anyway.
Yeah, should have a good turnout, like I do for Leicester. To be fair, it ain't that far from me at all. It's only about 20 minutes away. So no, I'm happy with the venue and the location. Can't really moan. It's 18 hours and hours away. So no, definitely have a good turnout, and a lot of people have already said they're interested. Let me know when I got the tickets. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The boys in the chat are looking forward to it as well. So is the plan then, Sam, to win the British title outright and then move on, unless I suppose something huge comes up in the meantime?
Yeah, that's the plan. I asked Carl a couple of months ago, so what is our path sort of thing, and he said now we've got a mandatory for the British. I'd only have to once I beat Kakachi, I've only got one more fight after that to win it outright. So unless something does come up in the pipeline, then that will be the path that we take. But obviously, if anything did come up, we'd be silly not to take it. So.
Just to remind our listeners, we have Sam Bowen on the call at Bullet Bowen. Second appearance from Sam on the show. Delighted that he's with us. Yeah, you're on Twitter now then. Obviously, you're not a big social media user, are you, Sam? But you had to get on there.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm going to start putting a bit more stuff on there, get a bit more out there, because like I say, that's quite a big thing there, boxing, social media. I'm obviously terrible for it, but like I say, hopefully you'll start seeing a bit more of me on it.
Yeah, not too much, like, because you'll end up taking over your life if you're not careful. Some people are on it 24/7, like, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I won't be gobbing off as such on it. I'll just retweet a lot of stuff, the stuff that Warren puts on there, and Carl. I'll let most of the missus sort it out, to be honest, because I can't be bothered with it. I don't even have my password for it at the moment. I'll just let her sort it out. But like I said, once we've got this fight nearer the time for this fight, I'll start putting a few more training videos on and stuff, getting a bit more on there. So. Lovely,
don't blame you, Sam. So you're not looking past Kakachi, obviously, but Archie Sharp, he did his reputation no harm with that picture book KO of Declan Geraghty recently.
Yeah, I've seen the highlights of that. They're both boxed, to be fair, similar to each other, and there weren't really much in it. I think Archie was down, apparently, but to what I saw, they looked pretty much similar styles. Both hands down, moving, flashy sort of stuff. But yeah, he just caught him with a good shot. There's no denying that. A good shot they landed, and like I say, he took him out. But now I'm not looking past Kakachi. Obviously, I've got this fight to prepare and beat him first before I start eyeing up other opponents.
Absolutely. Quick word on Zelfa Barrett. He beat one of your old guys, Jordan McCorry. Did you see anything of that at all?
I seen the stoppage. Like I say, I don't really watch the fights, to be honest. If I ain't training, I'm just chilling at home with the family. But I was speaking to Carl about it. I says, at the end of the day, even if he knocked him out in the first round, McCorry ain't going to be bothered, is he? He's just being paid to go in there. He's going to train for it and whatnot, but he ain't got the art for it. He's not bothered if he wins, loses or draws. So I said to Carl, if Zelfa Barrett knocks him out in the first round, it don't really mean a lot to me. He's a beaten fighter. He's boxed sharp since me. He's been beat, and then obviously he's just been offered decent money to fight Zelfa, so he's obviously going to take it, isn't he?
He is, absolutely. But saying that, he does look like a tough guy, Jordan McCorry. Is he as tough as he looks to fight?
He's tough. There's no denying that. He's been tough in all the fights, but he didn't seem overly as come forward and as busy.
Yeah.
And to be fair, he fought me totally different. He fought me like a bit dirtily, like constantly low, avoiding it so I couldn't hit him to the body as much. But obviously he's tightened his ways up a little bit, I suppose, to make sure he don't get disqualified, because he was on the verge of getting disqualified against me. When you watch the what's it about, the ref warning him a lot, and they were lucky not to get disqualified for literally got warned for going down so much. So I think that's obviously tied himself up because he wants to get paid. But I think literally he's obviously he's been sparring sharp, and that's been good preparation from both of their fights. But other than that, I just think he ain't obviously got the desire. He ain't bothered if he gets another loss on his record. He's just getting paid at the end of the day. So.
Talking about preparations and that, you've always fitted training in and around a full-time job. Is that still a comfortable arrangement for you at the moment?
No, because I don't work for Caterpillar anymore. So.
Oh, so that's changed already then?
It's changed already. So I don't work for Cat no more, so I don't need to worry about that.
And so I suppose if you get the British title outright, you'd be looking to the European title route, maybe?
I honestly don't know what route I'll be taking. I'll just take whatever they put in front of me. So, I mean, I'd like to go down the route that pays the most, but it's not down to me. So I'll just box whoever they put in front of me.
Great attitude, Sam. Great to have you on as always. At Bullet Bowen over on Twitter, everybody. Thanks for giving up your time on this Sunday evening, and best of luck against Anthony Kakachi.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, mate.
Cheers, Sam. All the best now.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Sam Bowen there. Doesn't mess about inside the ring or out. Yeah, man. You can get stuck on this social media shit, can't you, these days? Put your head away, Andy. You're a big Twitter user, aren't you? El Cholo. Getting any grief lately? Any trolls?
Oh, I get shit all the time, mate. It's just how it goes, you know.
Football,
boxing. Oh, some days you can, if you're bored, you can sit and respond to it all and stuff. Other days, I just kind of.
Someone say football. Someone say football.
Hey, wait. Hey, what are you saying there?
He'll be on in a moment. He'll be on in a few moments.
Give me 15 minutes, he says, and then he appears.
Aye.
Tommy's having a great time at the moment. Anyway, Andy, outing. Where is he? Friggin' Suriname or somewhere?
Suriname, man. Well, I'll tell you where he will be. He'll be in the STD clinic shortly. Jesus.
The STD title, unifying.
Lineal champion, by the way.
Putting herpes together with friggin' gonorrhea.
It must be the only man to go to. It must be the only British person to go to Thailand and give them a disease rather than another way around about. By the way.
Right, where's Rob Kelly? Do we need to give you 15, Rob, or do you want to get on now? What's the story?
Just sparking up. That's what he's doing.
He's muted. He's staying silent at the moment. Anybody else want to jump in on the undercard from the Philadelphia Friday night? Anybody want to say anything about Sam Bowen? If you do, guys, jump in on whatever suits. Silence is golden. Should we move on to Newcastle? Maybe we should just move on to Newcastle. Aussie, starting off with you. Ted Cheeseman losing a unanimous 12-round decision to Scott Fitzgerald. We'll go to that one first of all before we get on to Lewis Ritson against Robbie Davis Jr. A few people were getting swayed by the Sky Sports commentary here. Cheeseman changed his style, which seemed to get him a few points in the bank. Sky seemed to like what he was doing. I thought that Fitzgerald was rolling forward. I wouldn't say either man was ahead by a country mile, but it certainly didn't seem to be pushed in Cheeseman's favour as much as the Sky commentary seemed to think. Apparently, DAZN as well, which was the great Nick Halling alongside Alex Arthur, seemed to be seeing it to Cheeseman as well. So am I wrong? Are you wrong? Who's right here?
Well, I scored the fight for Fitzgerald by a couple of points. I was really disappointed with the commentary. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it spoiled the fight of sort because it was so one-sided to Ted Cheeseman. It's like they wanted him to win. They were amazed and like awe that he changed his style and he boxed off the back foot. And it certainly worked for him. And I don't think Team Fitzgerald really expected that. I think they expected the old Cheeseman who basically come and stand and trade, which I think would have played into Fitzgerald's hands. But it seems like Michael Jennings gave him a real kick up the arse in the second half of the fight, and that worked. Cheeseman slowed down. I think that's credit to the basically unreal bodywork that Fitzgerald put in. Some of the body shots were tremendous, and I feel that was a telling fact that really why Cheeseman slowed down compared to a case of he's not. Adam Smith was basically saying he's not boxed like this before, so he's not used to it. Just give the opponent credit that he invested in the body well, and some of the shots were tremendous. So for me, I felt Fitzgerald was a worthy winner. It was a decent fight. Moving forward, I'm not too sure about seeing these rematches with Anthony Fowler and again Ted Cheeseman, to be honest. It seems like they're planning the pathway for him already, but for me, why? I mean, yeah, he's had close wins over them, but do they justify rematches? I'm not too sure. The fight I'd probably want to see if Fowler comes through and beats Harry Scarf is probably Anthony Fowler, Ted Cheeseman. Leave Fitzgerald, go and make a couple of defences of the belt, or look to move him on towards European level or something like that. I think we can get stuck in, in the need for wanting these domestic fights. Just wait a little while. I don't see why a win over a bashed up Brian Rose should promote Fowler into, an immediate rematch, when in reality, quite a few people had Fitzgerald beating Fowler quite handedly, and similarly again, they had Fitzgerald beating Cheeseman quite by 2-3 rounds as well, which was interesting to see from the three judges, considering the commentary from what you saw from both Sky and DAZN as well. That saying, I wouldn't dub it a robbery. It was a close fight, but one that, for me, Fitzgerald was a fair winner in.
Smido, I was talking to the late great Jason Chukwu on Twitter during the weekend. He's in the chat tonight. Shout out to him. He wasn't pleased by this, Smido. He said this was one of the great British robberies of all time. He then went on to say that Ted Cheeseman won 115-113 on his card. So are you in agreement with Chukwu?
No, absolutely not. I mean, in a world where every opinion seems to be extreme or every event seems to be blown out of proportion, we're in the midst of any fight that is 115, 113 or closer is a robbery nowadays. I don't think it was a robbery. I don't score fights, but I thought it was, as I was watching it with my dad actually, as it was going, it was clear that Fitzgerald was dominating the last 3 or 4 rounds at least. I felt like, not through scoring, but I felt like Cheeseman was the moral victor out of it, if you like. He almost deserved to win. I don't normally like saying things like that because you either win or you don't win. But what I mean is that he came and did something very unnatural to him. We've basically seen Ted Cheeseman block punches with his face for a number of fights. Basically his whole Sky career, if you like. And he obviously come unstuck with the defeat on his record. He came and boxed really, particularly in the first half of the fight. He was the longer fighter, and I think that Fitzgerald and others and the watching public weren't expecting that. I thought it was obviously unnatural to him, but I thought he did it really well. And he comes out with a lot of credit. I think Ted Cheeseman. I do genuinely think that he's only a young lad. I think he's only about 24. And there's plenty of options out there for him. I just like we say, Fitzgerald did come on stronger as the fight went on. I thought the right hand to the body for Fitzgerald was there, and I was screaming for him to throw it, but he just wasn't throwing it as much as what I thought he could have done. And then the left hook up the top came into play in the last 2 or 3 rounds, and I think that obviously helped him on the scorecard. But I think that Fitzgerald should really be I thought he should have been jabbing more, particularly in the first half of the fight. And then he comes afterwards and says that, you've heard this before, but I'm going to do the right bob on next time. I'll be a different fighter next time. Well, I thought this was a pretty big fight for Fitzgerald. His last fight was obviously a big fight for him for numerous reasons, and he should be doing it right. You're either doing the weight right or you're moving up. There was numerous rumours that before the Fowler fight that he was struggling to do the weight, or would struggle, or was struggling, and he was fine there. But yeah, he just needs to get it bob on. This talk about Fitzgerald going in with Brian Rose. Oh my word! As Ozzy alluded to, what is the point in that? So Brian Rose, who wasn't brilliant at his peak, is way past his peak. When in the only reason that he's back in the conversation is that Fowler ain't that good, and Fowler made Rose look good rather than the other way around. I'm not interested in Fitzgerald against Rose at all.
Are people really talking about that?
It came out of Scott Fitzgerald's mouth in the interview. Scott
didn't hear that.
It came out his own mouth.
I never heard that.
I swear to you, it came out because he said something along the lines of Preston versus Blackpool. We could give that, give the fans what they want or something. It came out of his mouth before Sky, before Fast Car. So I do not see the point in that. I really don't see the point in that. Rosie's way past his best. Put in a good effort against Fowler, don't get me wrong, but he's still way past his best. And as I said, his best wasn't that great anyway. Lovely lad. I like Brian Rose, always have done. I'm not interested in the Fowler rematch at the moment. I think that Fowler and Cheeseman makes a lot of sense. I think Ozzy said that as well. And then there was a forgotten man last night that's, because he's not aligned with Sky. I saw Liam Williams was tweeting. I mean, I know it's obviously not going to happen. I know that, but Williams against Fitzgerald, and the Fitzgerald that he's promising as he can be if he does the weight correct. I think that would be a stonking fight. Honestly, I think that would be a great fight. But it was close. Definitely not a robbery, and fair play to Cheeseman. That's my conclusion.
Well, I'm just seeing now, just to jump in quickly, that Anthony Fowler said that Brian Rose beat Scott Fitzgerald.
He did. He said that on the side of the ring after the last fight.
What an absolute load of garbage. I called
him out at the time. Yeah,
what a load of garbage that is. What is there to suggest that at all? At all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The one thing Fitzgerald would do is he'd smash up Brian Rose's nose again and get him out of there. He won't be labouring to a point to win like Anthony Fowler did. It'd be a pointless fight, that. Absolutely pointless. I've no interest in seeing it. I'd rather see him fight someone like Troy Williamson. Like a hungry fighter coming in. Rose would just be there for the payday. They'd stick it on, they'd find a venue in Preston or something like that. They do loads of tickets for it or something, and it'd just be basically a money-making spin for it. That's it. I wouldn't even dub it an easy first defence for Fitzgerald in that perspective, because it would just be pointless.
I thought Eddie pulled a blinder last night, didn't he? You know, the way the fans were all booing him, and then he turns around to bring them back on side and says, "Shout out to the Preston fans, brilliant tonight. Maybe we could have a fight at Deepdale." And they're all cheering him.
Oh, against who though? Against who? I mean, he dropped the stadium fights last night. I mean, St James's Park, Anfield, Deepdale. Where next?
Fleetwood. Fight Jane Coach.
Yeah. There's this obsession with stadium fights now, and look, if they're there to be made for the right reasons, fine, but come on. Scott Fitzgerald's the British champion at the moment. Stop talking about stadium fights for him, yeah. Way off, yeah, way off. I like Fitzgerald, look, and I think in his past 2 fights, considering he's aligned with Sky, he's clearly been on the B side.
Yeah, I was going to say that when you go.
Yeah. Well, go on, you carry on, Andy.
That's the thing, because I was trying to kind of say something. Spud was talking there about just the commentary last night was absolutely fucking appalling. And you mentioned it before we started there, actually, that's the last 2 fights. I actually forgot about the Fowler fight.
Yeah.
You know, but as you say, clear B side. As I say, he's now the British champion. Now, if Fitzgerald's talking about staying at British level, good and well. But the way he's been getting treated or spoken about and stuff like that, I would be like, you know, fuck you. I want to be a free agent here. You know, contractually, kind of TV free agent. And if it's possible, you know, if he wants to stay at that level, I think the natural fight to get maybe be to go for the unification fight with James Metcalf. Surely, Commonwealth title fight. You know, let Fowler go and fight Cheeseman for the right to challenge they 2 guys. Let they 2 guys go and fight for unification fight, become the best in Britain. You know, add the other belt, and then let the other 2 fight it out, see what happens, create a mandatory challenger. Then I would think potentially, I don't know if it's going to be a chance for win the Lonsdale belt outright. Who cares? And then Fitzgerald can then step up for there and that. But I just think this shit, you know, talking about Fitzgerald fighting a potential rematch with Fowler, you know, that's nonsense, absolute nonsense. I mean, what's he done to deserve a British title fight? Bar beat a shot Brian Rose.
It's a joke. It's gone very, very bad lately with the TV networks. I have to say, I used to always think it was a British thing with Sky and with British fighters on networks over the years, that the commentators would just be super biased towards. But like ESPN are giving Sky a serious run for the money lately. Their own don't seem to be any better. And it's a pity because you see these casuals on Twitter when we're nominating them for Belly of the Week, they're regurgitating the Sky narrative because they don't know what they're watching, and they think, you know, they're into the sport and they don't want to look stupid, so they're constantly regurgitating the commentary panel's lines. But last night was the first night I saw on my timeline, the whole timeline was saying this Sky commentary is a joke, which makes it even funnier that Cheeseman thought Sky had it in for him.
I know,
it makes it borderline unwatchable. It makes it, honestly, genuinely, for someone who don't watch that much boxing, it makes it difficult to watch. I'm serious.
And like Ozzy said, like Spanish Inquisition into why Cheeseman has stopped. He stopped moving around Matthew. Matthew's like, yeah, he's not used to fighting like this. What about the body shots, lads? You not hear that wind getting sucked out of him there when... That's why he slowed up. Nothing to do with his legs or his moving side to side, his lateral movement. He was... They weren't giving Fitzgerald any credit. It's clear that they don't fancy Fitzgerald. He's not the one, and he did it against the odds last night, and he's done it against the odds twice. He wasn't the favourite guy. They wanted to set up Cheeseman. They wanted Cheeseman to beat him and set up Cheeseman Fowler.
You know what it was? Sorry, mate. You know what it was? It was like Cheeseman done something different. It was like he wasn't like full balls to the wall. It was like he was boxing the back foot. He was thinking. He was shifting. He was moving. It was something different. So people are like, oh, okay, we're seeing something different here. He's not getting hit as much, so he must be winning the round. Oh, come on, this doesn't work like that.
Regardless of whether we argue over the scorecard, there's 2 fighters here that are both signed to Sky Matchroom that have had close losses to Scott Fitzgerald. Put them in together. Winner gets the rematch. It's simple. It's very simple.
I completely agree. The first thing that Hearn said after the in his interview post show was, I think Ted Cheeseman and Anthony Fowler both deserve rematches. Why? They were not robberies. There was nothing controversial about either result at all. I've seen plenty of people who follow this sport religiously and have said both that had Fitzgerald winning clearly both fights.
Big time. And
there was only ringside.
Unbelievable what we're hearing.
I tell you, if I'm Fitzgerald, I'm ripping that contract up and I'm walking. I'd go elsewhere. I'd go somewhere where I'm the number one, 154 in that stable, from where they'll get the respect off the TV and things like that. They'll be the home fighter. They'll get fights put forward to them, and they're not going in the away.
He'll fit well into BT. He'll earn some good money against Liam Williams. It'd be a good fight. That a very good fight.
Yeah, and what's not to like about Fitzgerald? He gives it all. He leaves it all in the ring. When anytime he fights, he leaves it all in the ring. He's going to have a good scrap. So I don't understand why they're so kind of biased against him. You know, it was shocking last night. The first 6 rounds, you'd swear Ted Cheeseman was after turning into Sugar Ray Robinson the way that Macklin and Smith were talking about him, and then they had to reel it back in. They had to reel it back in, and they're like, oh, you know, they're trying to make excuses. Well, he's stopped doing it. You know, is he throwing this away? If anything, if Cheeseman had got that decision last night, I would have said it was a robbery, because I have Fitzgerald 2 rounds up going at the end of the fight. I thought, and then to hear Cheeseman come out and like you hear him post fight, and you think, all right, he's hurt, he's lost it. He thought he won it. He's a hurt fighter, but then he doubles down on it today, and he's considering walking because Sky have an agenda against him. You might want to watch that replay, pal, before you start sending out Instagram messages like that, because if anything, they were blowing him up more than what he deserved based on him moving around a bit. I don't know. I thought it stunk for Fitzgerald. He should have had his moment, and they should have been able to give him some credit in the fight. It wasn't even in the first 6 rounds he was losing them widely. He was getting his rhythm, and when he started to go downstairs on Cheeseman, that's when the fight changed. So I don't know. Anyway,
I wonder,
nothing new.
Rob, I wonder, Fitzgerald, they signed him, quality amateur, didn't think that he was going to cut it as a pro because of his early fights, which I was wrong. I was glad I was wrong. I didn't think so either. I knew he had the talent, but I didn't think he had the dedication. So they thought they'd build up a bit of beef against Fowler, put him in there, Fowler will probably beat him, move on to better things. He upset the apple cart. Okay, we'll stick him in with Cheeseman. He won't have the same motivation again. Might have been a one-off. We'll get Cheeseman the victory, put him in against Fowler, get rid of Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald keeps on upsetting the odds and upsetting them.
Should go to Frank Warren, by the way. Go to Frank Warren.
I think so too. I think Frank would love a fighter like him. If you could get him, he'd put him in some good fights and give him the kind of credit he deserves going into the fight. He might.
Sorry, Rob. Sorry, carry on.
Go ahead, Oz.
I was going to say, Andy called it right. Fitzgerald, JJ Metcalf, British and Commonwealth titles will be excellent. Styles would gel straight away. Metcalf throws loads of shots, can punch himself. That would be an absolute. Imagine that Fitzgerald jumps over, comes that. You could fight somebody like Jason Wellborn, someone like that, and then you could build. Imagine building that Fitzgerald Williams fight. That doesn't need to happen straight away, but what a cracker that would be in, say, 12, 18 months' time or something like that. That would be a tremendous fight. Williams still says he can openly make 154. There'd be money there. It could be either done in Wales or up north in, say, Manchester or something like that. There's plenty of fights there. There's more to the light middleweight division than Ted Cheeseman and Anthony Fowler.
Going back to what Steve said, I kind of get it first time round. Fowler was the man with the voice, if you like, with cold, well, blah blah blah. I kind of get that he upset the odds the first time and they wanted Fowler to win. But I don't get it the second time because Cheeseman's a man who's already been beat. They should have then got on they should have got behind Fitzgerald after the Fowler win. He's got a decent story. He's a bit of a character. He is a bit of a madman, really. They should have got behind him then, but they failed to do so. They missed a bit of an open goal, I think.
Right, Andy, final comment to you and then we'll move on.
No, mate, I've just said that, well, as I say, I've said everything. I think it was Ozzy and Smith were saying, actually, there's some really good fights to be made there domestically between 154 and 160 and that. I mean, you go up to like Felix Cash, for example, and stuff. Liam Williams, as I say, who's probably the most improved fighter domestically, in my opinion, this year. So I'm really looking forward to what his next step is in that as well. But certainly, we need to kind of kill a narrative. It's not a hardcore perspective and stuff like that. But as I said, everybody in unison were saying last night that commentary was absolutely deplorable. At the end of the day is this, 154, Scott Fitzgerald is probably now classed, well, he's not going to because Kell Brookstall going to be around there, but he'll be top 3, British champ. And as I say, if his contract permits, he should get the hell out of there and get that Commonwealth title fight and that, and then he'll get his just regard if he wins that fight. He'll get his dues. and then it's bigger things from there on in.
Yep. Speaking of Jews, we'll be going to Dave the Hater Low back soon. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say on Beater Beef before we move on. I'm sure you covered it, but I just wanted to comment on it because I didn't get a chance about the Spades Porter because I was away that night. I'd be ashamed. I really enjoyed that Beterbiev performance the other night. I picked against him last week foolishly, but he's just a brute. Like he's got so much strength. He's kind of he manhandle you. Like Gvozdyk didn't want that smoke. I think when he got flung to the canvas in the first round, took a punch, it turned him tentative all night. He didn't commit to the jab. He feinted the jab most of the time, and Beterbiev just ended up walking him down and smashing him up. Like he's definitely better on the jab. I thought the two of them kind of neglected body work. Beterbiev tried to do a little bit more, but Gvozdyk didn't go to the body at all, and that's a real sign. Like he didn't want to commit because he felt the power. Like there were ton punches he was taking, and I just wanted to make the point on Teddy Atlas. Like I thought, like especially in light of Dadashev and Patrick Day, that he should have fucking been wanting to pull him out of the fight after the 9th round, and the towel definitely should have come in before the 3rd knockdown. I thought, like the guy's taking, you can hear the shots on the TV, on the microphones picking him up. Like he's not a concussive one punch knockout, but he's 15 knockouts, and he does a demolition job on the guys he's in against. And there was no need for him to be taking those shots. In the 9th, he should have been saying to him, dude, I'm going to give you one more round and I'm going to pull you out. Instead of saying to him, your body's going to come back to you. Your legs are going to come back to you. You're going, like, stop making it all about you, Atlas. Like, you know what I mean? We know that he's a bit of a shit and he loves the camera, he loves the limelight, and he loves these catchphrases. It's about him when he's in a corner.
Yeah.
It's not about the fighter. Like that could have been costly. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, you know, we've seen it.
Rob, he's been in the hospital for 2 days. He literally got out of the hospital today, mate, with concussion. He's been in the hospital for 2 days.
See what I'm saying? So, like, people should be calling to Atlas, like, come on, like, you know, the guy's life is worth more than your fucking YouTube highlight, pal. Do you know what I mean? Seriously, like, you're giving the guy the wrong advice for the whole night, I thought, and giving him false hopes that he was still in the fight. The fight was slipping away from him at that stage badly, I thought. In the 9th round, he took a shellacking, and at one stage, he pointed. I don't know if you remember, but Beterbiev went to the body and he put his glove down to block it, and it was like he was complaining that his hand was hurt, and he turned around. And the referee hadn't called time, and he turned his back and pointed out the ring. And to me, that was a sign he wants out there. Like, there's something that's a sign of desperation. Like, and Atlas didn't pick up on that at all. He starts telling him his legs are going to come back and his body's going to come back. Well, fuck me. Like, if he'd have gone out and he'd have been that trip to the hospital had been worse, what would they be saying about Teddy Atlas now? So I thought that was absolutely disgraceful from him. But yeah, but Beterbiev looks like the man now at 75, and unless Bivol can box perfectly and has enough pop to keep him off him, you'd say that Beterbiev was the favourite going into that clash if it gets made. But I just wanted to quickly talk about it quickly. So
No, you're well pumped up tonight, Rob, because I was coming to you anyway on that very subject, so you preempted me. I don't think Bivol would handle Beterbiev. I was watching the Bivol fight again, naturally, as you do, bit of a sado, and that Lenin Castillo, whenever he caught him with a left hook, he moved him. Bivol's too small, I think. He could not deal with that physical pressure that Beterbiev was bringing to the table.
No way.
Beterbiev was I like Bivol. I think he's an excellent boxer, but Beterbiev was absolutely steamroll through him.
One thing about Beterbiev, and Andy said it years ago about him when they were talking about Ward, when Ward had just beaten Kovalev for the second time, and they were like, does anybody beat Ward? I remember on the panel we were saying, does anyone beat Ward? And a couple of people were saying Beterbiev, and Andy mentioned he goes back in straight lines. Gvozdyk wasn't able to expose it last night because he was too afraid to commit. He was scared of the power, but there is a way of beating Beterbiev. Like, you got to go side to side with him. Like, you got to get around him, and you got to follow him when he shifts back in the one direction. You got to follow that with combinations. You got to keep coming and then try and catch him, and then it's possible that you can outbox him. Is what I'm saying. You know, a really great fighter could outbox Beterbiev, I believe. But Bivol will have to be punch perfect for the night to pull that off. Like, I think there's a stage around it, the last third of the fight where Beterbiev is still fresh. He's still so strong. He's dangerous. Unless, like I said, you have something to keep him off it, it's going to be a tough night for him. Like,
It's someone with power who can actually get his respect and get him thinking, or you need someone like with hands, like maybe like a Calzaghe with his stamina, for example. Someone who's just
or just a Ward, like where they. Aye. But like they say about great fighters, like they talk about Ward used to do it a lot. Floyd is another one where they say like he does it a lot. Where even if he's touching you with the jab, right, He's giving you different power each time. So when you think you're expecting something, you think you're going to walk into it, all of a sudden, boom, you're hit with something a little bit harder.
He's catching your shots as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
Ward's always reading you. He's always catching your jab. He's maybe deflecting a shot, then he comes back with his counter on that. He's always cute in the pocket as well.
But yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. Even varying the power on the jab makes fellas think more, and you need to make Beterbiev think more to beat him. You can't just let him fucking walk to you, because he's going to fucking walk, he march through you like he's a brute. So you have to give him something to like I said, like you said, read him or move around him. But I don't know if Bivol is that guy that's going to be able to do it. I like Bivol, and I've always been very high on him, but unless he has, unless he can really completely outbox him, I couldn't see a win there.
No, I think it's styles make fights. I think Bivol's too small for him. And I know this thing's like a stupid thing to say, but you might see someone like, say, a Marcus Brown, that type of style, maybe giving Beterbiev a bit of trouble for 3 or 4 rounds with his movement, his ability to shift off the southpaw jab. No doubt Beterbiev would work him out, chop him down. But like I said, styles make fights, and someone with that type of style, like a Brown, but a better version, can't think of anybody off the top of my head, might give him a bit of trouble. Hey, to Dave, you were about to jump in there, and I cut you off in your prime. Apologies.
SOG Ward come back right now and beat his ass.
Nah, well, listen, I listened to Ward on Rogan and that, right? I thought it was really good, really quite insightful and stuff, but that's a guy whose body was just, it's a mess, and he got out at the right time, and he shouldn't have come back.
Dave, quick one for you. I know we should be going on to Ritson again.
Big enough. Sorry, dude.
Go on, Rob. I
don't think that's a big enough card to dangle in front of Ward either. You know, a 15-0 Beterbiev he's already beaten Kovalev. You know what I mean? So, like, does Beterbiev have the same aura as Kovalev now, or has he got the same kinds of record? He doesn't. Like, so what's there to come back? The bread on the table is not going to be huge for that fight. Like, so I couldn't see Ward taking it, although I would favour him.
The thing with Ward, he doesn't bring that much bread to the table as other former retirees, like Mayweather, for example.
Isn't it funny about Ward, though, because we've all lived through this, like, recently, and you see it to a degree with Floyd, but Ward had so many detractors when he was an active fighter. People fucking, like, hardcore boxing fans almost despised him, and now in his retirement, it's like, oh, he was great. You know what I mean? It's funny the way the sport is really fickle.
I hated him for Kessler. I hated him for Kessler, but I loved him for Froch.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Fuck off.
That was great, that one.
But I always said he would retire undefeated, and you know, although he hadn't went losing the first fight with Kovalev, he come back in the second fight and just proved.
Yeah, I loved him in the first Kovalev fight. I know that was close, but the way he handled the knockdown, I thought he was one that don't get talked about as much. Chad Dawson. I know they brought him down in weight, but Chad, he volunteered that. I thought, yeah, but he volunteered that. I thought he was fantastic in that. That was when I, really realised how good he was.
Dawson looked terrible. Looked like he just crawled out of a Hansel and Gretel cell. Right, and we need to move on. I know we need to talk about Ritson Davis, but I don't want to leave some of the boys hanging around who haven't said anything for a while. Coming to you in a minute, Gabe. A couple of questions from friend of the pod, Joe Kennedy, over on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. First one to you, Dave. Is Beterbiev top 10 pound for pound? After that win, is Beterbiev top 10 pound for pound, Dave?
I mean, I can't answer this with any kind of consideration, really, because I don't have a pound for pound list. I'd never bother because I think the criteria is sort of silly and undefined as well. Like, I can't even think. I could probably give you a top 5 off the top of my head, not a top 10.
Go on, then. Give us a top 5.
Beterbiev's not on it. I'm going to put Inoue in the top 5. I'm not going to rank him.
Yeah, baby.
Inoue.
Yes.
Usyk.
Yes.
Loma.
Yes.
I don't want to give it to the ginger prick. Fuck him.
Yes.
Crawford.
Yes.
And Spence. There.
Fucking no chance, man. Fucking Spence. Fuck off, man. What for? Like, because he survived a car crash, like human cannonball.
It is quite impressive.
Because he's good. Because he's I like it.
Oh, his
flip
against a Ferrari, like,
His Ferrari flip is probably a better name than most fellas have on the resume.
If you can survive that, you're top 5 pound for pound.
Well,
Canelo has never had an opponent as good as that Lamborghini.
Steve, Your Honour, I'll concede.
Danny Jacobs, he fought Canelo. He's come through a lot, hasn't he?
Beat cancer as well.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
right, let's move on, Gabe.
He would have iced Canelo.
Right, Gabe, second question from Joe Kennedy is a bit more sombre. Following the tragic news of Patrick Day's death, are there any changes or initiatives, Gabe, that could be rolled out in the sport to make fighters safer and less likely to die from traumatic injuries? What do you think, Gabe?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on one issue that I think could make a difference if there could be a collectively agreed upon standard for it, would be the determination on when to do the weigh-ins for the fight. I mean, you could do them like they do the day before, and that gives guys time to rehydrate and go in better shape. You could move them to the same day weigh-ins. So my thought process with the same day weigh-ins, there's negative sides to either piece of it. You have to understand, no matter which way you go, there's not a perfect answer. Would be that guys would probably, or maybe would try to stop blowing up so much and having to dehydrate. They would stay more at a walk around weight is where they would fight at. Of course, that won't happen for everyone. Everyone's going to be tempted to try to see what they can squeeze out of it. And then they have less time to rehydrate, which would probably mean more injuries if that were the case. So I think there's no good answer. When you deal with a sport like this with inherent dangers in it, it's just part of the risk that you accept and that you have to deal with being a possibility. I don't think that there's really anything that could be done in most cases. I think a lot of it rests on the fact that it's just a dangerous sport. I mean, if we were talking about baseball and a guy had a fastball hit back at him, a pitcher hit back at him and smacked in the face, and it was concussed and had a severe trauma to the brain, possibly died from that, would we be looking to change the game all of a sudden? Well, I don't think so. But that's an entirely different scenario, because in the game of baseball, you generally accept that the possibilities for that kind of thing are low. American football, on the other hand, rugby are probably two sports that are closer to football than baseball. There's all kinds of multitudes of sports out there that have some level of inherent risk in them, and when you participate in them, you have to understand that's the possibility. I don't think there's any initiatives or anything that could be put in place that would be universally recognized. You try to do those things. I mean, they try to do the weigh-in checks, so every so often they weigh in. So 16 days out, you can't be more than 15 pounds out, or however, I don't know the exact numbers on all that stuff, but they do things like that to help make sure that guys are cutting weight responsibly as well as they can be. And I think those are good measures that should be enacted, but you can't, across the board, across the world, make sure that people are going to do this. I mean, for fuck's sake, in the United States, not that we're the shining example of responsibility, but we can't even get a single body to govern the sport in the United States. I mean, the commissions work loosely together, things along those lines. But my point is that I hate to see what happened happen. I know full well, being a fan of the sport, that at some point it's going to happen again. And I wish it wouldn't. I wish that those things didn't happen, but that's just the reality of the sport that we discuss on this show and that people watch. These are just the inherent risks. So I think you have to be able to understand that and accept it for what it is, and be willing to deal with the bad things that happen whenever things go wrong, like they have seemingly so often recently. And it's a tragedy that fighters have lost their lives, but they knew what a possibility was when they stepped in the ring. I'm not saying that makes it okay or it makes it, reasonable, but I don't think there's anything that could be done.
Yeah, Gabe mentioning other sports there like baseball. I don't know anything of the first thing about cricket, but I remember maybe last year or the year before there was some incident, an Australian guy, possibly the ball flicked up and hit him in the head or something and killed him, and yeah, so things are pretty dangerous. You remember that, Smid?
Yeah, I think Aussie will as well. It was in basically a county game in Australia, and it was actually on the fringes of the international team as well. I think as a result of that, they kind of like extended the helmets down the neck, under the ear a little bit. Aussie might correct me.
Who's this? Phil Hughes, the cricketer
Possibly,
that got
Yeah.
he got hit on the back of the head by So he got hit by. I mean, it was a freak incident. He got hit on the back of the neck. Smid's right. I think the majority. I think it's pretty standard that all the helmets now have the additional piece of like plastic at the back, which then somewhat, lessens the impact if you do get hit there. But it was just a freak incident from what happened there. But I don't really know what more they can do, really. I mean, I saw some people saying about cutting weight. Do you bring back same-day weigh-ins? Some people were even saying, do you bring in smaller gloves? So it encourages more knockouts, which in turn lessens the distance of the fight. So, for example, rather than taking a sustained beating. It's an interesting one, and it's a difficult situation, really, to talk about as well. But
how about having qualified trainers teach fucking defensive maneuvers and defensive abilities? What happened to people learning how to roll with a punch or to use their head movement? For fuck's sake, all the stuff I've been watching lately, nobody moves their head. And I'm not putting blame on these people that have fallen recently. I mean, but I think it's a crossroads of a bit of rules and things of that nature. But I think the other half is the onus on the people that are competing and their trainers to learn to be better on how to defend yourself and what to do when you get into a bad spot. I mean, we don't ever enjoy watching a fight full of clinches, but if you need to, some fighters you watch them, they don't know how to do it. I don't know. Sorry, I was thinking while you were talking about that, Oz, and I think it's a mixture of both those things. I think it's a little bit of progression in terms of how we understand the impact that the sport has on the physicality of people. But then also it happens in the gym too. It's a lot like American football has gone through this process of change in the terms of the ways that they hit, and they're still big hits. It hasn't impacted a lot of big hits happening. It's changed the way that they go about it though, and they go about it in a way that's not going to hopefully damage people long term in terms of their brain injuries and things of that nature. And so if you can do it in a sport like boxing football where you're using your whole body, I don't see why they can't, look at some different ways to work on learning how these things are impacting the brain and the things that they can do to at least give fighters a smaller chance of being seriously hurt.
My honest belief on it is, and I could be wrong, but my honest belief is there's a direct correlation with the amount of serious injuries in the sport over the last 2 years with the amount of lads doping. And I could be wrong on that, but I think I've my suspicions about a couple of those fights where there was no testing. We never know the results because there was no testing, and nobody's going to come out with the truth at this stage. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you don't see fellas going from not having any knockouts to being killers overnight. And when fellas are getting seriously injured, when Eddie Hearn's crying during the week and saying something needs to be done, well, if something really needs to be done, then be genuine about that and make sure that there's testing wherever it can be, and reach out to the other promoters. They're all talking behind the scenes. Well, if we could all do something, the promoters can all do it collectively. All they have to do is all get together. Warren, Aram, Hearn, Don King, whoever the fuck it is, maybe Lou DeBella, Dennis Hobson, whoever. They get together and they say, if you're caught doping on, you never box on one of our shows again. And if they have all got that agreement in place, that's what gets rid of the doping, because nobody can afford to take that risk if they're going to be dropped, if the punishment is that severe. And if they want to lead the change, the promoters have all the power to put it on the commissions. So that if he's genuine and those are real tears, not crocodile tears, Go and train me Frank Warren, go and train me Bob Arum, and all you get together and put pressure on these fucking people to make sure that that anyone that gets caught doping doesn't get a TV contract or a boxing license again, and that'll fucking stop it if you're real about it.
It's not going to happen though, because I mean, look who ESPN are going to announce in the next couple of months as a new signing, Jarrell Miller.
Exactly, and it just goes to show
they've been falling over themselves to sign him.
I know
exactly.
This is what I mean.
Well, Frank has, and Tyson Fury talking about it.
So
people are only tough on it if someone else is doing it. You know, drugs are the worst thing in the world if it's happening on your show and your show and your show. But if it's happening on my show, it's okay.
Exactly.
And it's controversial, but I remember saying around the Dillian White incident, there'll be someone out there that has been seriously injured, retired, or even worse, at the hands of a drug cheat that we just don't know about and probably never will know about. I reckon it's already happened.
Yeah. What could start it is the governing bodies started off. So WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, they say if you failed a test to start the ball rolling, we will not sanction a fight with somebody who's been involved with it. Right, okay. And so that basically rules out these fighters getting any sort of decent fight, for a belt. It kind of then just pushes them out the way anyway. Because, I mean, the promoters aren't going to do it. Like I said, Bob Arum's going to offer him a huge deal to go and sign Jarrell Miller. Eddie Hearn repeatedly slams drug cheats, yet signs up Alexander Povetkin, Hughie Fury, Dillian White,
Billy Joe Saunders,
Lucas Brown. It will never stop happening until tougher sanctions are on board. And I'm with you, Rob. I mean, if you get caught, in my opinion, I mean, there'd be things so say if it was like a pre-workout or something like that can be there's certain levels, like in terms of like just an honest error. You can see things like that, but it's when you take, like you have to inject things and stuff like that. You should just be banished from the sport. When there's so much focus on the sport now with people dying, and from what we know of, just from just a case of just two fighters that, and a freak incident happens, it will get to a stage from where a drug cheat will go in there and will be juiced up right from no more, like completely off the scales, and will kill somebody. Erkan Tepe was another one. Remember, he went in that ring. He what did he do to Martin Rogan? Steve,
it was David Price. David Price he got caught for.
Yeah, he got.
He broke Rogan's jaw, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he got, and he badly broke his jaw. I think it retired him, and he needed a big plate in his jaw as well. Now that was from a guy juiced up as well, so he doped in that, and then was found out at a later date, and then he iced Big Pricey as well. Again, a brutal knockout, and what happened straight after it? He was found to be doping again, and the result still stands. Despite being found out that he was doping, the result still stands. Let me just see what it says under the. So it says that the BDB disqualifies Tepe for his last fight, European heavyweight title, against David Price, and states this fight to be scored a no contest. However, the EBU maintains that the original result must stand, but the belt becomes vacant. Oh, wow. The belt becomes vacant. It's a disgrace that result still stands, an absolute disgrace. And this is yet another governing body, the EBU, who maintain a drug cheat should have the win against his name despite cheating.
Yeah, but they're scared of getting sued. Look at the border control against the Furies. Everyone's got out of that situation without having any blame attached to them, and it's been brushed under the carpet.
UCAD are a complete waste of space. They find people, you contest it, threaten them with a lawsuit, and they go away with the tail between the legs. Dillian White will be serving a 6-month ban now, which you'll say, yep, okay, fine, and that's it. They're a waste of time if they're not going to back up what these fighters have done wrong. And if these fighters have done wrong, I don't see what leg they've got to stand on to sue anybody. You have failed a drugs test. I don't care what it is. And this is the problem as well. You've got VADA, WADA, UCAD. It should be one rule fits all. Not you're in camp, you're out of camp, or you can take this drug with UCAD and that's fine, but VADA says otherwise. If it performance enhance you, it should be banned. it shouldn't, like have different variants and things like that. It should be one rule for the whole sport, and if you are found cheating, you should be banned for life. It's simple as that. People would soon stop it, and if they do get caught, bye-bye. You've no career anymore. And they should be fined as well.
Remember, it depends whether the Tony Bellew's mates, and then he decides whether they should be banned or not.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Beheaded.
Right, we're going to move on to Newcastle then, guys, and then on to Pro Grey Taylor. You are listening to the episode 345 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. There's Rob Kelly breathing away in the background. Adam Smith's with us as well. So is Ozzy Smith, Dave the Hater Low back, Andy Patterson.
Dragging away.
Old Darth Vader and Gabe Lewis as well. Undercard, Joe Laws, quite the character, got a win over Justice Addy. Didn't see Martin Bacoli, wasn't in time. Missed the Asuki Summers fight. Not going to go back and watch that. If Twitter reports are anything to go by. Savannah Marshall, bit of a waste of time over Ashley Curry. She looked quite novice-like, to say the least. Right, Ozzy, a quick one from you on Lewis Ritson against Robbie Davis Jr. Then picked Ritson last week. I thought he was going to gas. He was throwing too many shots in the early rounds, but he managed to last the pace and got the job done ultimately.
Very impressed. Very, very impressed. Probably a career best performance from Lewis Ritson. Tell you what, that jab is something else that he's got. Billy Nelson said on the pre-fight that pound for pound, Lewis Ritson's got the hardest jab, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Is he just bigging it up? But by all accounts, I can see what he means by that. It looked unreal. Really impressed. Bit disappointed with the performance from Robbie Davis Jr. Really, I thought he'd have enough to beat Lewis Ritson. Great first 4 rounds, quality. And I thought if they can maintain that pace throughout, we'd have an unbelievable fight. Naturally, it did die off, but towards the back end of the fight, it livened up again. And I thought Ritson was a fair winner, to be honest. Relatively close, but clear for Ritson. I mean, there were some outrageous comments after it saying that he's proven he's at world level now and he's ready for Josh Taylor. Whoa, slow down, because he's not. And Taylor would make light work of him. We saw what happened when Ritson stepped up against Patera, and there's still things that he can learn. However, going off last night, look, what did he do? 9,000-10,000 in that arena. He can make it. So he can make it a real home for himself now. He's got the backing. Clearly, he's grown into the weight now, because the first 2 performances at 140, I thought he looked pretty substandard. But last night, he was tremendous. Very, very impressive. It's going to be interesting to see where they go next with him. I mean, that was an official WBA eliminator last night. So not a final eliminator, but look, it bumps him up those rankings. And he'll definitely be in the top 10 now, from where, look, he can be called as a voluntary, which will be interesting. But I think it's a long way off world level yet. But all in all, a tremendous performance, and one that he can certainly be happy with. As for Robbie Davis Jr., there was talk about him going up to 147. Not really sure if he struggles to make the weight or not, or if it just wasn't his night. Again, one loss does not define a career, and he'll certainly be back from that as well.
Ritson's moved up then, Smido, got the job done. I think he might have found his level, but he sells a hell of a lot of tickets, and he will get opportunities, even if it is as a challenger at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the talk of the Taylor fight, I mean, I think that from what we've seen so far of the two, assuming Taylor wins next week, which is a big if, Taylor would take care of Ritson at this stage. Yeah, I was impressed with Ritson, maybe not as impressed as Ozzy sounded. I think that Davis did well early on, because he tried to meet fire with fire. I mean, them first 4 rounds were very good, really exciting, and you could see it not going the distance at that point. It did slow down, but rather than running away, so a couple of years ago when Ritson went on that spree of, knocking out British title defences within 6 months of each other, that was when opponents were kind of, half scared and running away from him. Well, Davis met him head on last night, and it was really great action in the first 4 rounds. But Ritson, I think that Ritson's first 2 performances up at this weight, he was, because they came on the back of a defeat, and that defeat was unexpected, and he was on a great run before then. I think he was trying to kind of show that he could box, or try and prove that he could box, or change his style a little bit. And as such, didn't look great. I think last night, although it wasn't back to the railroading style that were the British title defences a couple of years ago, it wasn't quite to that gung ho approach, but it was edging towards that. So basically, what I'm saying is, I think last night he found so far in his career, he found the perfect mix of being a bit of a banger that he is, but a bit of boxing as well, not too much. So yeah, I think he found his style. I think that'll put him in good stead for going forward. I think they can milk him a little bit, Ritson, up and getting 8, 9, 10,000 up in Newcastle, because I think that when he does go to proper world level, and last night's win does not prove that he is world level whatsoever, so I don't want any talk of that from Sky and Matchroom. But when he does get there, I think it will get found out, to be honest. But he'd be happy as Larry to just have another couple of similar fights to that. I think Davis now is obviously a bit older, isn't he? Robbie Davis, he's been about a bit. I think he had a loss on Channel 5, didn't he? And he's been Sky and then back to Sky. So I think he's past his best now. I wasn't particularly disappointed with him as Ozzy was, but yeah, I thought Ritson, that's the best we've seen of him so far. Fair play.
Yeah, I think if Taylor beats Prograis, which I hope he does, then we won't be seeing him anywhere near Ritson. If he loses, then that's a possible fight they could make, Andy. He's been blasting through people, Ritson, and he looked a bit one-dimensional when he stepped up in class, so maybe he just needs to work on a few things. Maybe this is the start of a beautiful new Ritson that we saw on Saturday night, perhaps, although Davis, not the best of opposition, but gave him a stern test and a good win for Ritson anyway.
Yeah, he looked good, must admit. I wouldn't be kind of too often with a rematch at this point. I mean, is that really a mandatory? Sorry, off the back of that, is he now a mandatory challenger for?
No.
Surely no.
No, it was just an eliminator. Just an eliminator. It wasn't a final eliminator or anything like that. It was just an eliminator.
Eddie Hearn eliminator could be anything, so it could be for number 4 spot or whatever. And that. Yeah, but in the day,
he said himself, Andy. He said money talks, and if Taylor does win, he'll just make him an offer that basically he can't refuse.
Who, Eddie will?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Seriously?
Yeah. He basically said, look, it's not a final eliminator, but it was an eliminator. It puts him in, say, the top 5, 6, something like that. And he just said he'll make an offer because money can talk. So it'll be a case of, right, well, I'll offer you X amount. We'll go to St James's Park to do it. That's what he said. He had it all mapped out. St James's Park next year, Taylor against Ritson, loads of money. It's all planned out.
Eddie Hearn special.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be bread and butter for Taylor. He'd lap that up.
Mate, listen, that's I would say 3-4 rounds for Taylor, and that really, if he comes out in the mood, to be honest. For me, I think Ritson, he's put on weight, hasn't he? So I think he should still, remain there at British level and that, and just, fight it out there just now. No way is he ready for anything like Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, even a guy like. Came back about put him in by next. If they really want to put him in, like, say, improve, what I'm saying is he doesn't improve his European level, for God's sake. We need to use Cameron Jets a wee bit here. I know he was blasting through overweight, was it 135? But we need to be serious here. He hasn't improved even at 135 that he was like the best at European level. We're talking about going in with Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, put him in the likes of Baranchik and see how he gets on with that type of opponent. And then we can talk about world title fights.
I was thinking that.
There we go.
I was thinking that myself.
There
definitely.
We go.
Baranchik against Ritson.
Fight.
Oh, that
would be a fantastic
violence.
fight. That would.
Pure violence,
I think
isn't it?
Baranchik could
I'm
stop
well
him.
up for that.
Well, that's what we're talking about, mate. But you want to put him with Josh Taylor. What has he shown that he's ready for, like, Josh Taylor or like Regis Prograis, Ivan Baranchik, who was the other guy, the Swedish boy that way? I don't know if he was the one who got injured. Yigit. Guys like that. Is he ready for guys like that? Go and prove it. This is, Yigit's European level, is he not?
Well, he's already been to European level once and failed.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
so he needs to go there again and have another go. Yeah.
Why not attempt to avenge that loss?
Because he's moved up now.
No.
I'm sure.
Patera's the European champion, isn't he? He's fighting next week against Domenico Valentino.
I'm interested in that fight, actually, believe it or not.
Matchroom Italy, Andy, TBA.
Yeah, I know, but it's Valentino. I just want to see. What is he now? He must be 30. What is? He's the Olympian, isn't he?
He's 35, yeah, he was an excellent amateur and he turned over late. He's 8-0 with 1 KO now.
I just want to see how he gets on, eh?
I agree with you, by the way, Andy. I think Taylor would definitely beat Ritson. I'm thinking more from a Taylor point of view, getting him some big exposure and some good... obviously, he'll get exposure from program, but some decent paydays. That's what I want for him.
What, for likes of fighting Lewis Ritson? You know, it's at James's Park.
Yeah,
okay, I mean... Well, I just mean, well, to be honest, it's only, 2 hours for Edinburgh on a train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 50,000, 60,000 at St James's. Right,
That's a big ask.
I was going to say, mate, it's a big ask. You know, especially time of year. You talk about the north of the UK is always pissing the rain. You have to get the right time of year for it. You know, Taylor's not going to be sitting out until summertime, June, July for a stadium fight. You know, knows world champ. You know, possibly unified world champion. He's not going to be sitting about that long. It's pointless. It needs to be mega money for him to sit out for that length of time to get that type of fight.
You haters be laughing the other side of your face whenever Fitzgerald's headlining in Deepdale. This is happening, man. This is a new era.
Yeah, but we need proper promotion. I mean, heavy promotion. We need that type of fight. We need something tangible. It needs an in. It needs a story, so to speak. A WWE story for Hearn to sell that. I mean, 60,000 at St James's.
Yeah, that'd be
It's a huge ask.
No, it wouldn't be 60,000. They'd do a Bellew and maybe put it in the corner in the training ground.
Aye, or Mitchell against Getsedas at West Ham.
Yeah.
Remember that, right in the corner, eh?
Oh, I flip me. Right, any more comments before we move on, guys? Because we're starting to run late now. Anybody quickly?
Victor Postel would be a fight for Ritson. If they think he's at that level, we'll step him up.
Victor Postel will beat Ritson, I think.
100%.
He'd be too tricky.
Yeah.
He's too tricky for him.
No fucking chance he's beating Victor Postel.
I'll put it in our chat then. Ritson, Jack Catterall.
Yeah, that's a good one. Postel will be jab and grab all night. Ritson will be frustrated and get worn down by him, I think.
Terry Flanagan, O'Hara Davis, Relic, Ray Beltran. Take your pick. Linares. Will we see Linares rolled out again potentially? Look, he's come over here before. He's got a relationship with Matchroom. Probably on the way down now. Bit frail. At times. What about what's it called? Linares. Can he come over there and derail the train? Yeah,
that would be blood. That fight would be blood.
It would be ideal though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would you just mention it? That just got me thinking. Actually, that's just an interesting wee fight there. Actually, Ritson against Linares to pick up that British money again. Then is Ritson going to take out the faded vet 2-weight champ? Paper skin. Although the people say it's a myth, he can. You know, he's been known to cut for time.
It's been a while since he cut. I used to be on that train, but it's been quite a while.
But yeah, that's an interesting. I like that. I like to call it that fight actually, because he didn't look great in his last fight, did he? Linares.
When was his last fight?
It was recently, a few months ago.
Yeah, he fought Al Boyan or something, didn't he? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It went a distance or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. There's that Anthony Yigit from Sweden, Andy. It'd be another one. Which,
distance fight, decent boxer.
Yeah.
Yigit's good. He's tough too.
Yeah. There's loads of fights out there for him. And if they keep name dropping, saying, I mean, it was Spencer Oliver who said, "Oh, he's proven he's at world level." Why? Because he beat Robbie Davis Jr.
Well,
nobody was proven.
There's somebody else at the weight, mate, that we've all seen before. There's a Zapata. Yeah, tough fight.
Zapata, yeah. Joe Hughes. Joe Hughes would be a fight. He arguably beat Davis Jr. So Joe Hughes would be one as well. Doesn't mind going on the road, being on the pod. Will take any opportunity there. There's loads. That Mohammed Mimoun.
Relic, I think's a good one. You could get Relic over, couldn't you?
Yeah. Look, Maurice Hooker.
Connections to the UK as well.
There is loads of fights available for him. We'll probably see some absolute. They'll probably try and roll out like Zab Judah or something like that now, won't they?
No. We've just rolled got hurt, didn't he?
He ended up in hospital.
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, it'd be.
He fought the Jewish Hammer, didn't he, or whatever you call him?
Yeah, I forgot about. Yeah.
What do you call that guy? Doesn't matter. Sorry,
the Jewish Hammer. The Jewish Hammer obviously looking.
The Hebrew Hammer.
During the war.
He lost to the Hebrew Hammer. I'm telling you.
Skill pass.
Cletus Seldin.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's the Hebrew Hammer, wasn't it, or something like that? Yeah. But look, no, I think we've all just proved ourselves. There's probably 25 fights that'll be available for Lewis Ritson to go and find. They'll probably roll out somebody like Argenis Mendez now or some randomer. But look, there's 25 good fights available that can be made if they feel that he's on the way up at world level. So let's see. They've got the money to bring the people over if you're doing 10,000 tickets. So let's wait and see now. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Let's move on, boys. I mentioned Matchroom Italy, so we'll not dwell on that. Kanat Islam returns next week, 26-0 against Walter Corton-Docko. I remember him losing to Demetrius Andrade in Boston. Erickson Lubin as well. He's been a bit of a slow burner on Showtime. They seem like they're bowing out of boxing. He's fighting against Nathaniel Gallimore. Robert Easter Jr. is returning as well against Adrian Granados. We would give more time to that on a usual week, but this is no ordinary week. Gabe, before we get on to Taylor Prograis, another great fight next week, I think. Shakur Stevenson, 12-0, going in for the vacant WBO World Featherweight title. Bob Arum and Top Rank. You think Frank Warren loves the WBO title? Bob Arum sure as hell loves one as well. 23-0, Joet Gonzalez, Oscar De La Hoya fighter. Joshua Greer's on the undercard. Forget about the undercard game. It's all about Stevenson against Gonzalez. Stevenson is being set up to win this vacant title. Gonzalez coming over, being sent over by De La Hoya, a bit like Jojo Diaz when he went over to fight Gary Russell Jr. on the PBC. Don't think Oscar fancies Gonzalez's chances. Might as well give him a bit of a free hit. I think Stevenson, Gabe, will win this one. What do you think?
Unfortunately, I think you're right. I don't much care for Shakur Stevenson. I think he's an idiot, but I think he's going to win. I don't know, Joet Gonzalez, maybe he can find some way to bring in something that will enable him to maybe time Shakur Stevenson and effectively do some counterpunching, because I really think that's going to be his best opportunity, because Stevenson is sound defensively. He's a quick fighter. He's appears to be pretty strong. I mean, he's fought fairly limited competition throughout his career to this point. So I feel like if we're going to see it at this point in his career, I don't know why Joet Gonzalez couldn't be the guy to do it. I just don't think he has the intangibles at this point that would allow him to do that. So it would have to be a really good boxing IQ to be able to do it. And I don't think his boxing IQ is going to be higher than Shakur Stevenson's. Even though he is a shithead, he's a sound fighter. So I'm not really that thrilled about that one. I'm much more thrilled about Josh Taylor beating the fuck out of Regis Prograis. But I get it. We'll get to that. On this card, though, I mean, I don't really give much of a shit about anything on that card, to be fair. And hopefully we get a good upset, I guess you will, if Joet Gonzalez, wins.
Andy, do you want to say something briefly on that one?
Sorry, mate. No, I was just unmuted for some reason.
No problem.
Sorry.
No, I want to talk in depth as we can before Value of the Week about Taylor Prograis, but I also want to give people a chance to say their piece on the undercard. So I'm going to give you all a minute, okay? I haven't done this for a while, but I'm going to hit the stopwatch for a minute and you can say whatever you want on the undercard. Let's go to you, Rob. First of all, we'll go through the fights of interest. Conor Benn going in against Laszlo Toth. Ivan Garbu, this could be an interesting one for the European Cruiserweight title. Absolutely. Andy against Lawrence Okoli. Ricky Burns, Lee Selby. Not really any interest in that. I think Burns is probably done. Interesting to see what Selby does at the higher weight. And Derek Chisora would have much preferred to see him fight Joseph Parker. It's not to be. He's going in against David Price instead. Rob, you have a minute starting from now. Tell me about the undercard.
Sorry, Steve. What was that? I completely missed that. The undercard of what? Next week's fight?
Yeah, Taylor against Prograis.
Shakur Stevenson's fighting Diaz, is it? Who's fighting on the undercard?
Shakur Stevenson's fighting Joet Gonzalez, but I'm asking you about the Taylor Prograis undercard, Chisora Price and all that.
All right, who's on it? Chisora Price, dog shit.
Right, we're at 30 seconds now.
could be entertaining, but it is dog shit matchup. Like, isn't it a late replacement there for Pricey? Pricey Chisora in 2019. What's that going to look like? Who knows? Like, I don't know. Can Pricey do it? Like, is he going to have a purple patch here, like where he knocks out Derek Chisora? It's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? Like, is Chisora that big of a puncher at this stage of his career that he absolutely does the David Price on David Price? Well, maybe he can put it together or break Chisora down. Like, yeah, we've seen him struggle with height before, so who knows what kind of shape Pricey's in taking a fight late notice. Don't know. Going to be dog shit anyway, probably, but it could be entertaining. Who else?
Give us a round then quickly. Chisora Price, what round, Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to say Price stops him around 10th.
There you go. Price stops him around 10. Right, on to you, Smido. Same, the undercard. Coley, Ben, Price, Selby, whatever you want. Starting from now, go.
I don't really care much about the undercard. I think Chisora against Price is an absolute joke, to be honest. I mean, God knows how many losses they've got between them. I think it's double figures. I think that's a joke. Obviously, those already committed to the pay-per-view. Parker's been bitten by a spider, I believe. I still think Chisora's past his best, and I'm saying that for a while, but I've clearly been proven wrong so far. Pulled it out the fire against Takam, was pretty good against Spilker. Can't criticise him for that. I think he's being milked by David A. badly. I think he's badly being milked. There's a reason why David A. is retired and Derek Chisora is still fighting. I think there's a bit of an intelligence gap there, and I think he's being conned out of money by David A. On the main event, I'm probably not the best person to talk to about it. I do like Josh Taylor. I think he's the best British fighter we've got. I think Prograis he's come out of nowhere a little bit for me. I've not really seen all that much of him, but he certainly can bang. And I think this fight is going to catch fire at some stage. I really do. I think it could catch fire pretty innocuously as well, if that's the right word. I think that there could be a bit of a standard exchange where one or both of them land and it just catches fire from there. I can see it happening. I don't think neither of them are going to want to back down. There's going to be a fight for centre ring. I think it's a really good fight, to be honest. I'm glad that, well, I'm not glad it's on pay-per-view, but I'm glad it's getting the hype it deserves, because it is one of the best fights of the year so far. The betting's pretty close. I'll just run you through that. So Prograis is the favourite, I believe. Let me get it right. Yeah, Prograis is the favourite in the region of 8-13, and that makes Josh Taylor a best price of about 6-4. The bookmakers do not think that a knockout is on the cards. Prograis decision 7-4, Taylor decision 9-4, Prograis KO 100-30, and Taylor KO is 6.5-1. So they are predicting it won't be a knockout, and I think it might be. So I would be a backer of either man to win by knockout at 7-4. That would be where my money's going. Yeah, really looking forward to it. I thought that I really enjoyed Josh Taylor's last fight against that Baranchik fella. I didn't see the Terry Flanagan fight for Prograis, but I saw bits of the Relic one as well. So yeah, I think it's a great fight, and it's just a shame it's on pay-per-view, but we'll leave that for another time.
Well,
rest of the undercard don't care about Conor Benn. Definitely don't care about that lanky cruiserweight. He's shit.
Okay. Ozzy, undercard from you first of all. You got a minute? Go ahead.
Yeah, pretty decent, to be fair. Start from the top, Chisora Price. Could be better. Big pricey, cashing out, getting over £500,000 for this. Suspect Del Boy will certainly get a knockout win here, and then he goes on to the next one, topping up David A's pension fund. Ricky Burns, Lee Selby, bit of a crossroad fight. I think it's a winnable fight for Burns, to be honest. I don't think Selby is a lightweight. I see him more as a super feather. He jumped up 2 weights. Don't think it will be the best on the eye. Intriguing one, Ngannou Okolie. I've constantly gone against the Coley, but
I like this fight.
He has a horrible style, which is difficult for anybody. Ngannou trains at the Ingle Gym. Clearly talented. Haven't seen loads of him, so I'm going to watch that one with intrigue. Could be one where Okolie ices Ngannou, or it could be the other way around. Who knows? It's certainly one that I'm looking forward to. Conor Benn, Laszlo Toth. The myth that is Conor Benn continues. Just wheeling out garbage again. This Toth look, he 28-5-1, awful padded record. And Ben just needs to fight a couple of domestic people. Just otherwise, I have no interest in him fighting these tin cans. A couple of others on the undercard as well. Most notably Shannon Courtney. This is the reason I'll be buying the pay-per-view. And Dennis Radovan against Luke Blackledge. Blackledge will get better than that. And Abbas Baru against John O'Donnell.
I thought O'Donnell had retired.
So I was just going to say, I have no idea where they've pulled O'Donnell from. I think he's fought once, and it was like a 4-rounder somewhere this year. And that was a comeback fight after another 2-year layoff. So, God knows. It just looks good for that Barode, or however you pronounce his name. But O'Donnell,
my mate, Camden.
33-2. So, but I certainly don't see him causing an upset.
Andy, undercard, anything that strikes you? Go ahead there.
Yeah, well, obviously Abbas been on the undercard, and that I've mentioned him a couple of times, well, a handful of times on the card. In the past and that. So, Ngabu Okole, as I said, I'm interested in that fight until it starts, and then Okole probably blow the pants off me after 3 rounds, and I'll lose interest in it. But as I says, I forget who it was we had on the podcast. Actually, we did mention Ngabu to him actually at that point. He beat obviously Mickey Nielsen, so. He's on a good run of form in that as well at the minute. I'm going to side with Coley in that fight. I think it'll be something will be an achievement for him actually as well. I think about it. Shit to watch and all that sort of stuff and that. But he's British, Commonwealth, European champ and that on the space of what is that now? About 18 months, a year, 18 months. Let's say it's an achievement actually. Ben Toth, I don't know. Toth might put up some resistance. O'Donnell, as I says, I'm not too hanging away, but Chisora Price, I don't know. I'll say Chisora probably stops him. Seventh round. Burns Selby. This is interesting for me. The fact is that Selby's coming up to. Okay. He come up to 135 and that against that last opponent. Burns is, he's a 50 odd fight pro, 2-3 weight world belt holder and stuff like that. To be respected in that, but at this point I'm going to go for a draw. I just think Selby at this point does enough just to kind of lose the fight on the cards to an absolute draw on that, and Burns just does enough to like miss so many punches and straight right hands and stuff like that. It gets a bit messy, and yeah, I'm going to say a draw.
Andy going for the draw there, a nice even card in his assessment. Onto the main event then, Gabe. It's been a good build-up, I think, between Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor. Their personalities seem to mesh well. Prograis has been out and about. He was at Tottenham yesterday. He's been to the gyms as well. I don't think there's a genuine animosity between the two. I think they respect one another's strengths, respect one another's abilities, and they're just two focused champions, focused professionals. How are you going to get to see it, Gabe? Who's showing it over in the States?
Don't fuck this up, Gabe. I'm looking forward to this fight. Don't fuck this up.
Who I'll tell you, I'm going to watch it on HBO.
Crying like a little bitch. Why don't you go fuck yourself, David?
We're off to a solid start here. Prograis against Taylor, Gabe.
Sorry, somebody had to talk you.
That sounds like that's what Josh Taylor's going to say to Prograis at the weigh-in by go fuck yourself, Dave.
I think Josh Taylor can win this fight. I think it's a very winnable fight for him. I think Prograis is a good fighter. I don't think he's what he's been described as or what's been hyped as. And whenever I say hyped, I don't think that all the media are on board with Regis Prograis. I think he has a fair amount of exposure, and due to his record and style in general, that a lot of media probably do have a higher opinion of him than I do, which is not to say that I think he's a terrible fighter, but I really feel like Josh Taylor has an edge and is the slicker fighter and will actually be able to outbox Prograis for long spells of the fight. I do think Prograis will have success in the fight, but I don't see him having enough success to win it, and I'm going to call it Josh Taylor on points win for this one.
Ooh, yeah, baby. Team 1-0 Braveheart, baby.
There we go then. That's one for Josh Taylor. What about you then, Dave? Looking at it stylistically, I know you love a good breakdown. Prograis tends to load up a lot on shots. Sometimes he falls in slightly. Do you think that Taylor could make him pay? Maybe that's tactically something that we could look out for. Taylor going to the body while he's leaning in.
Dave's a homer. This is one each. I can sense it. I know it.
One each.
You're going to say you're going for Prograis. I know it. You're a homer.
No. I like.
Dave's going for Prograis because he's pro-gay.
Because I don't like the way Prograis speaks generally. He's kind of irritating, and I don't like the way he screwed around with the fight very much in the balance there. It might have been a smart decision. I don't know, like what goes on behind the scenes or what he's getting paid. Maybe he got squeezed some more money out of him. Honestly, I don't give a shit. But it was irritating that he jeopardized the fight, as from a fan's perspective, even if it was the smart thing to do. Thankfully, we are seeing it. This is good. Prograis's got the intensity of extra youth. I think he's younger, isn't he? He looks younger in the face. I think he's less tested than Josh Taylor. Well, he's definitely less tested than Josh Taylor.
Prograis older, and yes, he is.
I'm surprised he's older. Okay, he looks young. He's less tested. I think he's going to have the intensity here, but Taylor, I think he got a little pissed off about, during this build-up, but he's got to keep a cool head. I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to keep a cool head. I think he might get dropped early, or in the middle rounds, once he's comfortable. But I think he's going to win this with flying colors. I think he's got a good style for Prograis. He's going to be too slick. Prograis's a good fighter, but I've never seen the level of defense out of him that I've seen out of Taylor. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. And yeah, it may be weird because Prograis's a Yank, but Taylor is always, every time I watch him, I like it. It's an enjoyable performance. It's stylish, and go Scotland. It's good. It's good for you little fellas to have a.
Go Scotland. Go Scotland. What the fuck is this pish? This isn't what the fuck is that? Go Scotland.
What? You're butthurt that I'm cheering on your own nation.
No,
but the problem with Scotland.
It's the fact that you sound like a shitbag, David. That's why he's mocking you.
Okay.
Go Scotland. Come on, guys. Let's go Scotland. Come on, Scots.
You can do it.
See when George W. Bush actually lifted the handgun and just fired the start orders to go and bomb Afghanistan. I didn't go and say, "Go USA, go USA." What the fuck is that?
Well, this is somewhat different than a war being started. But
this is war, baby. I can't wait for this fight.
This is a sporting event. I didn't say "Go USA" when we were bombing people either.
That was Gabe.
Let him finish. Go on, Dave.
This is why Scotland wilted and begged the UK to absorb them back in the fucking 14th century, because you can't help yourselves. You're too negative.
Would you if you lived under colonist rule for that fucking length of time?
I will tell you this. I was going to say, I'm sorry to say this, but I think Lee Selby's going to fucking whoop Ricky Burns' ass. He's going to school him. It's not going to be aesthetically pleasing, but he's going to take him to school. Ricky Burns is made for, especially this version of Ricky Burns is made for Lee Selby, I think. And he's going to look, by Lee Selby standards, which is not saying much, I think he's going to look pretty good.
But he's going to throw punches, is he?
Yeah, I think he's going to throw actually like maybe 2 punches around. It might so by his standards, I think he's going to look pretty good. I think he's going to be ugly and frustrate Burns, and land some clean shots, win a clear decision. Price and Chisora, that's fun. I like that. A lot of people shit on it because neither guy should probably be fighting. But if the two guys are going to keep fighting, it's one of those matchups for UFC fans. Like BJ Penn, the guy should be done, way done. But he keeps fighting. So if he's gonna keep fighting, put him in with the old guys, like the Clay Guida matchup. That was fine. But when you put him in with what's his name? Yair Rodriguez, it's an embarrassment. Like, no one wants to see that. Like, I'm fine if the pasted guys fight each other. I don't want to see him fight these young guys just used as a name, used as a stepping stone. So, Price, Chisora, it's fine. I don't really know who to pick, honestly. It's interesting. Chisora's got the pressure and intensity, which will sap Price's energy for sure, and his gas tank is trash. So I would think that he could wear him down and stop him in like four or 5 rounds. But Price really does hit hard, and he looked quite good in his last fight against Dave Allen. Of course, that was Dave Allen, but he dealt with the pressure pretty well, honestly. He boxed the full, but no, it wasn't the full 12. They stopped him, but he looked like he could have gone the full 12. Honestly, he didn't put too much into his shots, but he landed clean. So based on his last performance, he's definitely got a shot here. I'm going to go with Chisora. But, I mean, that said, Chisora, like, his gas tank isn't what it was either. He definitely needs to take breaks. It's going to be interesting. I think that's an interesting fight. But the main event, definitely glad to watch that, and I'll actually tune in for a change.
I think it's nailed on that Chisora wears down Price. I like Chisora's bullshit patter at times, but I'm not buying this stuff at the press conference he was saying about being this huge A-side, selling out pay-per-views, packing arenas on behalf of others. I don't think he's that popular. I'm calling bullshit on that, Derek, to be honest. Got to be honest about this. It's like Dave Allen having a load of houses thing. Calling bullshit on that too.
Who was he meant to be fighting again? Because this fight came up kind of quick.
Chisora Price?
Aye. Did he have an opponent?
Yeah.
Don't think he did he?
He's supposed to fight Joseph Parker, wasn't he?
That's who it was. I couldn't fucking mind. Sorry, I was away there for a bit there.
See, that would have been shit. I would rather see this than that, honestly, because I think Parker would have knocked him out.
Off.
I think Parker would have knocked him out. I think.
No chance.
Parker Chisora would have been better than Chisora Price. Come on.
I don't mind seeing it. I just don't want it to be cheap support on a fucking night where I've got to spend 20 quid to watch it.
Crying like a little bitch.
I'm not fucking watching it.
Well,
invite Ozzy over and spend 10 quid.
Well, Oz, you're welcome, mate.
Wellings was being all empathetic there towards Dave. He was being all sympathetic towards Dave, and then told him to piss off.
I've run out of patience with him with his MMA analogies.
Shut that soft ass shit up. All that soft talking. I know you can do it, man. You got that soft ass shit up.
What about this size difference? Taylor does look the bigger bloke.
Yes, bring it to me, Steve. I want to drink this in.
What were you saying there, Smith?
Taylor looks to have a height advantage over Prograis from what I've seen.
That's what I was saying about Prograis leaning in and Taylor catching him with shots. That's what I was wondering, you see.
I do think it's going to catch fire, genuinely. I think it'll catch fire, and it could come pretty early. But what I would say is Prograis's been here for a couple of weeks at least. That's got that as a big not an advantage, but a big positive for him. And I think he's done pretty well. Not that it counts on the night, obviously, but I think he's done some decent, PR work. He's been out in the gyms and that. He's been on Sky and that. So fair play to him.
I think it will catch fire. I think there's a lot of pride on the line. 2 professionals, very proud, don't want to give up their title. I think there's going to come a time, Smid, you're right, where they're going to stand toe to toe and really go at it, the pair of them.
Yeah, I do think. Like I say, I just think it could. I don't think it will be a deliberate I'm going to go 100 mile an hour first round, but I think there'll be some sort of exchange or an exchange of hooks or a couple of body shots, something, and I think it will catch fire. Whether it will remain burning for the rest of the fight in that manner, I don't know, but I do think it'll catch fire and it will change the fight for both of them. Either they'll have to amend their strategy or put the foot down from that point. Something will happen.
What about the tactics then, Rob? Shane McGuigan in Taylor's corner. He's an excellent coach. I've had my issues, but he's a very good coach. Rob. I do think that he'll want Taylor to set up the tempo, dictate the pace probably, because Prograis I think will probably be better suited to a slower pace, whereas Taylor needs to make him work, scything away at that body, constantly making him work fast, I think, for Taylor.
Come on, Rob.
Well, I don't think Prograis is going to come and lie down. I think he's going to be in the fight, but Taylor is a nasty son of a bitch. He is, he's got a mean streak to him. You don't want to piss him off. Prograis after pissing him off a bit, I think. And look, that counts, as Smith said, that counts for nothing on the night. But I do think there's a bit of spite to Taylor. If he gets you hurt, he'll go for the finish. he's got some right good wins. Like Ryan Martin will remain to be seen. He looked nothing on the night, but maybe Taylor made him look nothing. Baranchek, right fighter, stopped Vasquez, did what he did, emphatically stopped O'Hara Davies, beat the shit out of him really, and it proved he was levels above him, and it's proved that he belongs at this level. So if Prograis can beat Josh Taylor, then he's a hell of a fighter, because I think Taylor is the goods, like. And I don't know about a prediction. I think Taylor will be too much for him on the night. He'll just take it from him, but I don't think Prograis is going to come and lie down. I think he'll definitely be in the fight, and there'll be stages where Taylor might have to overcome some smoke, but I'd favour him in this fight. Like.
I hope you're right. I'm leaning towards Prograis, but I really want Taylor to win, and I can make, for both of them. It's one of those fights sometimes, I think, Andy, you get in the ring, the big fights, you don't know what's going to happen, and one guy all of a sudden might dominate and do something that in hindsight you think, yeah, why wouldn't it have gone that way? Big fights are weird like that sometimes, aren't they? But I think it's going to be nip and tuck. I don't think it's going to be dominated by either man, and Taylor's size could be the thing for him. I don't know why I'm leaning with Prograis. It's more of a gut thing than being able to back it up. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a bit like Usyk Gazev. We all expect that kind of close fight, and in the end, Usyk kind of romped it. For me, it really depends. Really, well, there's a couple of things. One really is Taylor at the weight. Okay, he missed the weight against Baranchik the first time by a couple of ounces and stuff like that. No big deal, but he's a big unit for 140. We've mentioned this before. We talk about opponents and stuff like that. Taylor vastly off a scale superior. The way he's been fast tracked. If he wins this fight, 16-0 unified champ. He should be getting British Fighter of the Year for next year and stuff like that. It should be hands down out the park. My issue could be is if he gets called into a firefight. It's a different fight, because I think at times he got over greedy with Baranchik and stuff, stayed in the pocket too long, took too many shots and stuff. People are talking about, like, say, Josh being, like, say, this bad dude and that. He is. He's serious as anything, but if you meet him, chat to him and stuff like that, he is quite a serious guy, and that takes his stuff serious. Likes a good laugh and stuff like that, but when it gets time to get down to business, by the way, it's a different meaning. And I have mentioned in the past that before the last Olympics, the Olympics in 2012, Josh was in sparring with Ricky Burns. John Tame was in that day as well, actually. And as I always mention this, Josh Taylor got the best of Ricky Burns for about 3-4 rounds of that sparring session, working the body, ripping him, and then just as the spar went longer and stuff like that, Burns' experience told. But you look at him now, the way he's come in there as a professional and stuff. Dave Ryan, Victor Postol, Ryan Martin, okay, but can maybe kind of put a underline under that fight and stuff like that. But Baranchik, tough fighter. Miguel Vasquez probably up past his best weight, I suppose, and that, but still proved kind of a tough fighter. Took a licking. And obviously he's won that domestic duel with O'Hara Davis, which was a lot of pressure, 50-50 fight, according to some people going into that fight and stuff. So, and it's a Prograis that he's Relic and Flanagan, tough fighters, and Dongo have been dealt with by Crawford and that. What I see with Prograis is he sometimes dips before he throws his jab and that to his right hand side, and it's two southpaws. Josh has got a good counter right hook, which actually caught O'Hara Davis and knocked him out. I think he can maybe catch Prograis with that. That said, I want to know how Prograis is going to get inside, or how it's going to work on the inside, because Taylor obviously, he's going to be longer with his punches. I think he's about 5-6 inches, and he's got a couple inches in height on him as well. But how's Taylor going to? Sorry, how's Prograis going to get inside him? Especially at mid distance. On the inside, it's going to be interesting. Is Taylor going to be kind of standing in there, wanting to kind of take his best shots and that, just kind of like, work in his office, so to speak. But, really kind of interesting fight. But for me, I think I'm siding with Taylor, probably on points and stuff. But I want to see how Prograis approaches it. If he's disciplined and he boxes to a plan, I think he can cause Taylor a lot of problems, and he can frustrate Josh as well. Again, it's maybe a sense of the occasion. Taylor's fought in big pressure situations and fights and stuff, whereas if you look at Prograis fights, and especially like say New Orleans and stuff, he's fought in front of one man and his dog. Taylor's fought in fucking atmospheres and stuff like that where people want to kill each other and stuff like that. So, and this is what you're going to have to deal with next week as well. A few Scots come down for that fight and that down to England and that they want to fucking bang for blood. You're actually fucking count on that. But for me, I just think Taylor's going to, he's just didn't over-engage on the inside. I think for me, like he did against Baranchik. But and just kind of watch on the inside and that as well, with rubbing the heads and that, because he has been cut in the last few fights and that as well. So it could be some scar tissue in that there as well to kind of contend with. But definitely favour for me. Stiffer opposition puts him in good stead for his fight. But again, as I says, Taylor being probably, I think he's a better technician, especially at distance inside and that as well. But it's where it's going to be on the inside. It's for me, that's where it's going to be won on the inside. It's how Prograis responds to the inside work, and if Taylor over engages and maybe gets caught in that as well. But real interesting fight. But I think Taylor's going to win it. Probably I'll go 116-112 for Taylor on the cards.
Can't wait, Andy. It's going to be brilliant. If it's a real cracking fight, I might dust off the mic for an old post-fight pod. I know it's not the same now. We're not on YouTube anymore. Just thought of that there now. Might not do it, who knows. But if it's a real cracking fight, you might dig out the old microphone straight afterwards. Before we go on to Value of the Weeks, I have a question in from Ted Barrett. I've been keeping aside for the last couple of weeks. I want to get that out of the way here. Anybody can jump in on this one. Let me know what you think. Ted said, can you ask the pod out there the most unexpected first round knockouts and the most dramatic last round knockouts? So anything that comes to mind. Most unexpected first round knockouts, or the most dramatic Taylor. Last round knockouts. The most dramatic, obviously, Chavez against Meldrick Taylor came to my mind, Andy. Recent ones for early knockouts, Quillin against Johnny Jacobs. Khan against Prescott. Andy's flying him here.
Mosley versus Mayorga last round.
Yeah, no.
You kind of wasn't doing it in the fight, and then right at the bell, KO'd him, iced him.
There's an Ali one actually, a 15-round stoppage. Frazier. But it wasn't a knockout, was it? It was more like a corner messy stoppage, wasn't it?
What was the guy? Did Jonathan Banks do it in one round against the guy? What was his name? He had one big win at heavyweight and then lost. Yeah, and then lost the rematch. Was that in the first round? That was kind of unexpected.
I don't think it was first round. Was it? I don't think so.
No. I don't know. Cool.
I want to mention Errol Christie for some reason, but.
I'm not sure about Christie now.
No.
Bringing up Seth Mitchell.
A last minute one.
Rocky.
I was going to say a last minute one from a last round one. Sorry. What about when Audley Harrison leveled?
Yes.
Sprott.
Mentioned it last week. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a cracker.
The European title didn't Harrison have one arm or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, he landed unbelievable shot. Unbelievable.
I think he tore his shoulder ligament or maybe popped, because if it was dislocated shoulder, he could have popped that back in, but he was fucked for the vast majority of that fight.
Yeah, and he landed. Was it a left hook?
It was a left cross, left hook.
Left hook,
yeah. And Sprott was just gone. Absolutely, it was like a corpse on the ring.
He just dropped him. He just dropped like a fucking, like he just like short-circuited him, you know.
I big Sprott had boxed well to that point as well. Those are the days. A-Force, former WBF champion. Any more you want to throw in, guys, before we move on? I think that's about it, isn't it? Who's left us? We lost Gabe.
Yeah, he's probably going doing his duties, running about surrounding his perimeter and that, you know.
I'm still here, you fucking mong.
What about Adonis Stevenson, Chad Dawson?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, I didn't hear the question.
Some of the most dramatic first round knockouts, Gabe, or dramatic last round knockouts? Unexpected first round knockouts or dramatic last round knockouts?
I've got one. Arthur Abraham, Jermaine Taylor, and Carl Froch, Jermaine Taylor.
Oh, Carl Froch, definitely. Yeah, that's right.
He needed that one.
Froch is a brilliant show. Yeah, Froch Taylor.
And Abraham again. But Abraham won when he knocked out, was it what's his name? Gavor. But it was at 11th or the 12th round. He just folded him.
That was maybe the 10th, I think. Yeah. Corinne Gavor. Yeah.
It's an evil fucking ending, that one.
That was. Gavor was outboxing him too.
Yeah, he was losing on points that one, Abraham.
I remember one. It was a British title fight. Frank Buglioni knocked out Jose Alberto.
Yes, he was losing the fight 12 round stoppage.
Losing, and then they all, like Gallagher and the Smiths in the corner, were willing Burton to push forward, and he'd pissed the fight as well. And Buglioni absolutely levelled him. I remember Steve Goodwin jumping up at ringside. You could just see him go absolutely ballistic. Well, that was another good one when Buglioni stopped Burton in the... God, it must have been with seconds to go, I think. Or at like 30 seconds to go.
That's all of them, guys. We'll move on. Let's get on to Belly of the Weeks for episode 345. Ozzy's still with us, so is Rob, Dave, Gabe and Andy Patterson alongside me, Steve. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Jason Chukwi's there, Tosh, Lee the Alcoholic Frotch, all the boys are in. Having a good time, MB as well. First nomination from El Shakal. He's nominated Sam Duchesne, talking about the David Price-Derek Chisora fight. Why so much disrespect for Pricey? Did nobody watch him outbox Povetkin until Povetkin pulled that thunder cunt of a shot out of his arse? Price is world level without question, says Sam. Trading Leather Boxing has nominated the fact that you do need a visa now to go to Saudi Arabia, even though originally you were told that it was all going to be sorted with the tickets. Chad Hogan has nominated Will. Not going to lie, this whole ticket and visa process has been a nightmare. £100 fee for visa on top of an already expensive fight ticket. All will be forgiven if AJ KOs that Mexican cunt, says Will Michael. Simon says, wow, go and follow him. Simon86 says, wow, one of the best accounts on Twitter. Nominated Eerie Pundit 47. He's talking about the Patrick Day situation. We need a law that mandates softer punches in boxing, says Eerie Pundit 47. Not quite sure he's going to pull that one off. JS Park 10 has nominated Misguided. She has a picture of Anthony Joshua and says, anyone, what's your type? Me, 30-year-old men with world heavyweight titles. Happy birthday, Anthony Joshua. Well, if you're going to get hold of him, you won't get a touch of those heavyweight titles, I don't think. Misguided. Been misinformed there.
Andy Ruiz
Chad Hogan
is type.
Aye, bit of Andy Ruiz instead. Maybe he's the type of man they're all after now. Chad Hogan has nominated O'Hara Davis. I want to get into politics, says O'Hara. No Context Smiggers Titties has nominated IFL TV for getting in touch with Al Siesta. Umar definitely rushed to grab an interview with him after hearing him on the Boxing Asylum from the weekend, says Mr. whoever that was who nominated him. Javonta Davis has been nominated by Blue Eyed Boy for saying that he's 5'9.5" tall. Jason Chukwu has nominated the United Kingdom as a whole for not picking up the Gvozdyk versus Beterbiev card. Chad Hogan has nominated Dave the Expert, saying that he was going to go out to see the KSI Logan Paul fight. He also said he'd love to bump into Josh Warrington to see how he handles a street fight. Guarantee, says Dave, he wouldn't handle 3 minutes with me, the pussy. Oh dear. Another one as well for talking about Buatsi against Bivol. Quite a few people nominating this guy. Maybe he's a troll. Curtis Woodhouse has been nominated by Ian. Jason Chukwu has nominated Tyan Booth for Anthony Joshua, for telling Tyan Booth to get out of his gym, even though Andy doesn't own the gym. It's an amateur gym for Team GB funded by the National Lottery. I must say, Tyan had gone off the boil, but he was back on form again in this latest video.
Oh, he was brilliant, mate.
Oh, he was brilliant.
He was tremendous. Tyan, mate, if you're listening, just keep it up, mate. That was inspiring. Absolutely inspiring. I mean, imagine Anthony Joshua walking up to you, get the fuck out of my gym. I mean, what would you say to him? This fucking mountain of steroid muscle looking at
I thought about this because obviously the Asylum members wouldn't be popping up at AJ's gym, but just for argument's sake, we did. And
he threatened his life.
Yeah, he wanted to threaten your life. I feel like my fucking tongue would react quicker than my brain in that situation, like with my old Irish teacher. There was an old Irish teacher I had, he was 6'7", so he's around the same height as Joshua, and I was only in first year. But every time this fucker used to say something to me, I used to answer him before I give him a smart answer and he'd come down and beat me up. So he used to lift me up by my sideburns, and that's why I first started getting bald fades, so he couldn't do that, and then he just started lifting me up by the top of my hair. His name was Packy, right? But his that's like short for Patrick over here. It's not a racist connotation, but there was a myth that, well, we don't know if it was a myth, but it was alleged that he got that name and followed it with Basher because he was supposed to have played the national anthem on a Pakistani lad's head in the school years ago. So so he was an unsavory character, but every time he'd be like, Rob, you're doing your homework 10 times. And I'd be like, why don't you make it 20 times? 20 times! And he'd come down and beat me up. I couldn't stop answering him. So I wonder if Flex came along, flexing his big leg, telling me to get out of the gym, would I just, would my mouth move too quick and end up disastrously for me? Because I couldn't bring myself not to say something like, I'd be on about the misguided campaign. Anything. If he'd come over and tell me to get out of the gym, I'd be bringing up everything. His YouTube vlogs, his punch from the gods. I'd fucking say everything, and I'd end up in a bad way. But yeah, props to Tyann for that. That was fucking hilarious. And the sister should get a nomination too, because she's going to make sure he takes it down within 24 hours, which are obviously, she means quicker than real hours. And she said, if you don't take it down, I'm going to endorse you with legal action. Listen, he has enough endorsements. He has plenty of endorsements, right?
Echo Falls, baby.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Fucking endorse you with legal action. Oh, chill out, fucking Ali McBeal. Jesus Christ. Relax.
The courts have decreed that Tyann Booth's videos are brilliant.
Imagine, exactly. Can you imagine like your sheriff court stepping up there and fucking, sponsoring Tyann Booth's fucking YouTube channel? Amazing. Think about it, man. You'd be getting barristers on there snorting cocaine and everything by talking about.
When he said hit him with a lucky punch from the gods, I thought, man, that was absolutely brilliant. I wanted to hit him with a lucky punch from the gods.
Did you see the comments about Adam Smith and the pictures that he posted up?
Yeah, that's why I'm worried for the future of the channel, because like in this climate, like he's definitely pushing the boundaries. But I love him. Like I think he's brilliant.
Boundaries? Fuck.
He's burnt the boundaries down.
We used to kind of push the boundaries on
he's burnt the boundaries down and wrote "fuck you" with the ashes.
I had to set fire to that.
Oh dear. Yeah, go and watch it. It is funny, everybody. Right, Toby Hines has nominated Usman, talking about the Fitzgerald-Cheeseman fight. Usman said, I kind of judged the fight based on the crowd, and they were silent for the majority of the fight. Most of them were Fitzy, and Cheesemen were getting booed earlier, therefore felt he won. Toby says, too stupid to know how stupid you sound. I judged it on the fight. On the crowd, sorry. Bellew of the Week nomination there for Usman. Men's luxury fitness, Rob has thrown one in. Would your man Rob Kelly approve if Errol Spence Jr. does his next ring walk to Kanye West through the wire? Is there, maybe you understand this one? There's one for you, Rob.
Yeah, that was because Kanye West, before he got on, he wrapped his car around a tree and broke his jaw, and that song Through the Wire with the Shaka Khan sample of Through the Fire is really about him rapping with his jaws wired. Interesting tidbit there for the pod, a bit of crossover there from the listeners. Sidebar, opened up for Kanye West in 2004 in the Tree Arena, was known now, and we almost got kicked out before the show even started because we had too many people on the guest list. About 30 people turned up trying to get in, and the promoter was not happy. So,
Rob causing trouble on the Dublin fight scene. Carlos has nominated Taylor Clayton. Dave Allen, does Lewis Ritson beat either Taylor or Prograis? He asked the question. Nick, does anyone think Lewis Ritson can call out Josh Taylor or Prograis? Just seen her in an IFL Bellew of the Week nomination. That seems to be all the ones I've got. I know Chad threw in a few, but I had to can them. For brevity's sake, any nominations from you, Andy, this week?
No, mate. Well, yeah, I've got the one against, maybe a recycled one and stuff, but it's been a kind of quiet week for what I've seen anyway. But I'm going to go for Spence again and stuff because it's been officially been confirmed that he got done for drinking with, well, what's it, DWI again?
DUI? Drunk under the influence?
Driving while intoxicated.
That's the one. That's the one.
Ooh.
That's the one. So he didn't get a DUI, driving under the influence, it's drinking while intoxicated. So he says, Spence makes his first comment saying, no broken bones, I am a savage. True, mate, but you're also a fucking drunk driver. A human cannonball as well.
Human cannonball. He's on the fucking Stella.
Exactly. See, listen, mate.
I hope he comes after that as his next fight.
I was listening back to the comments last week, mate, and see when you said that he was blessed, I was too slow. I says to myself, I should have said he's been drinking the holy fucking water because that is the only way he got out of that one alive, by the way.
Or rocket fuel.
Blessed. Rocket fuel, man. Blessed beyond belief. I mean, see Oscar saying this.
He should be dead, yeah. He should be dead.
See Oscar wake up saying this, I'm blessed to be alive, and all that sort of stuff. You see everybody saying that I'm blessed. You see it on Twitter all the fucking time. But Rob said it last week. He is motherfucking blessed. You came out the roof of a fucking sports car at 180 miles an hour.
He said last week, think about it. He goes, fucking think about it. He's come out of the fucking sport. Oh, man.
Just
What a
Spence.
fucking legendary Spence.
Honestly, if he fights again for the next year, I'm going to get on my knees and call him the Bionic Man. He is beyond. He is. I'm speechless. Honestly, he's just.
Obviously, I was watching the videos and the footage and all that on YouTube, so it came up in my suggested videos. Some fight hype video of him hanging backstage at the Barclays with Gervonta Davis and Adrian Broner. Now listen, that's not painting a great. I think one of the Tarlos is there too, and they're all drunk. You know what I mean? You might not be making the right kind of moves out of the ring, Earl Spence. You might want to fucking reevaluate now that you've had your life saved. This is a start over for you. Maybe put the 4-pack of Stella down and get back in the cupboard.
Love it.
Ozzy, you got anyone to throw in this week?
No, nothing from me this week.
Nothing from Ozzy. Hey to Dave Lowback. Smitho's left us, but you are still with us. You always have a good nomination or two.
Yes, sorry, I've got a late one coming in here, Steve. Sorry, mate. I've got one for Dave Lowback for saying Go Scotland.
There you go. You've been nominated, Dave. Do you want to counter that?
Fuck Scotland.
That's better.
Fuck you, you wankers.
That's better. Just don't put a Mel Gibson go for Scottish to Australian like in a fucking nanosecond. They may take our lives, but they never take our freedom, mate.
I was going to nominate the Scot abroad for what did he do? He gave one of his
Tommy,
transsexual prostitute herpes.
No, she's legit. She's legit. But as I say, Tommy's the first person that got abroad there, like the first Brit to go to Thailand to give somebody a disease, herpes.
Oh, good man.
Like a little
good. The Guru's happy, man. He is happy. Never been happier, that guy. Good luck to the Guru.
I can't wait till we go to Cash Frick against Lee McGregor. By the way, he's going to be in top form that night.
Oh, you better believe it.
Well, Tom has previous for doing the transsexual prostitutes, so this is not like. He did it in New York as well, I believe. So it's not really that value worthy because it's like, you know, old hat for him. I'm gonna vote for that guy who said that Price was outboxing Povetkin until Povetkin got like that lucky punch.
Oh yeah, Sam Duchesne. That was right at the top there, Dave. Well remembered.
Crying like a little bitch.
Right, who else is left with us? Gabe, you're still here, aren't you? Any nominations before we go on to the picks and then get out of here?
No.
Yes. Tosh Bear Grylls Jr. just mentioned Earl Spence, the nickname in the chat, and I fucking love it. The Black Jesus. I fucking love that.
He rose from the dead. Oh, man.
I fucking love that. The Black Jesus. He is blessed, though.
Yeah, but
I hate to keep mentioning
better teeth, though.
But fuck's sake, man.
He should be dead. A fucking Ferrari flipping there, and when you see it going down the street, it makes it funnier. Like it's like, where did he fucking land? Like on the roof.
He should come back. Hangover. See, when he's ready to come back to the ring, he should call out Tyson Fury or Joshua or fucking Ortiz, any heavyweight. By the way, you'll fucking beat them. They can't beat him.
Now that you mentioned it, though, right? Now that you mentioned Fury, we're coming on to my nomination. I'm gonna say, right. We didn't cover it properly last week. I don't think this WWE shit, like, this is horrendous. From a fight fan perspective, this is horrendous. And everyone thinks we're pro Fury, but fuck that shit. First of all, take off that fucking Versace suit. You have to have it on for about 6 months at every fucking press conference. That bare chest and white and blue floral number. You have enough bread now. I know you gave away money to the homeless, but get in your fucking pocket now and get a new suit. Number one. Number two, what the fuck are you doing? Going into the WWE, cash grabbing. Oh, your autobiography's coming out. Will these fuckers stop writing autobiographies until they finish their careers? Like, we don't know how the story ends yet. Like, right, good for you. You're back on top. Go and do it in the ring. I know, and he's got a cut. He's going to be wrestling, grappling with these fellas in a fucking sport he's not used to, taking fucking kicks to the head and all. What's to say that fucking cut doesn't open up?
Did you watch that Strowman push him across the ring and then Fury tried to push him and then try to respond? Fuck me, man. Fury couldn't fucking move him.
Yeah, this is different. These guys are juiced up to the fucking maximum as well, allegedly. So fuck me, like and easily an injury could occur there where that pushes that fucking Wilder fight back and we never see it. And I don't think that's a great signal of intent. I think he's way too comfortable now with being a star. He wants to be a star more than he wants to be a fighter. And the signs, I don't think he's going to be in the sport that long. I have to fucking call it on that. I'm a big Fury fan, but fuck that shit. Like the WWE, 6 million or whatever. You're throwing fucking 30 million. You're gambling 30 million to get 6. Fuck me. Like, I'm like, no knock to him. Get his money. You know, we're not the ones taking the shots. Get as much money as you can. Like, but do it at the right time. Like, do it after the Wilder rematch if you can do it. That contract will still be on the table for you after the Wilder fight. Like, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Win, lose or draw. They took Ronda Rousey. They take McGregor in a heartbeat. They wouldn't give a shit about a losing record. It'd be the profile. So there's no need to do it right now. And as well as that, you got to give Cheeseman one as well, because I don't know what the fuck he was watching. He said he looked at the Sky guys and they were the only ones in the arena who had a close. Fuck off, like, will you? Yeah, go and look, and then to double down on it today with the Instagram post. Like, fighters, like, I know nobody likes losing, but just to turn around and say that Sky were against him when they were bigging up his every move. Every time he moved to the side, they were fucking, like I said, it's where Sugar Ray Robinson was ever coming back. Like, he was only just doing something different, and then they wouldn't give Fitzgerald any credit, and then he has the nerve to come out and say that there was a Sky conspiracy against him, like they're pushing Fitzgerald. Deluded, absolutely deluded.
Delusion for Fury and for Cheeseman with Rob there. I'm going for Anthony Joshua, booking Tyann Booth at the gym and all that type of business. So that's my one. Joshua. Dave went for Sam Duchesne. Who are you going for, Andy?
Excuse me. Yeah, I like that actually. You know, the Tyann Booth Anthony Joshua situation. I absolutely loved that. That was his best video he's put out there in a wee while actually. The Adam Smith comments on that as well for good measure. I loved it. So I'll go for that one. So that was Joshua. Is that right?
Yeah, Joshua for trying to book him out for booking him out the gym.
I'll go for that one as well, mate. Yep.
2 for AJ. Who are you going for, Ozzy?
Yeah, Joshua sounds good to me, but an honourable mention to Ted Cheeseman.
Yep, it all went mouldy for the big cheese. Gabe, who you going for this week? Belly of the week, 345.
Joshua
as well. Looks like it's a landslide, a road sweep. What about you, Rob? Throw one in for us, why don't you?
Well, it should have been Teddy Atlas. Should have got one as well for his fucking. But we covered that already. Has to be AJ. Put me out of your gym, punk. Put me out of your gym, motherfucker. Fucking hell. What a big way. Look at you, fucking 6'6", paid former world champion. What are you worried about what Tyann Booth is saying about you, unless you think it's the truth? So put me out of your gym, motherfucker.
That Booth thing when he brings up Myra Hindley. Fuck's sake.
You can tell
Little Myra Hindley friggin' pen pick appears in the corner. I'm like, oh god, no. Oh dear.
Oh, you see the pictures they posted by Adam Smith though? The pictures, his hair was like on end and he was like fucking proper raging like with the clown, man. It's like, holy shit.
Oh man.
He must go through the videos like a minute comb and stuff like that and just like grab screenshots just to, I'll keep that for later. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chuckweed, a few of the guys are saying Chuckweed deserves a nomination, Andy.
Who's that?
Chuckweed deserves a nomination for saying that Cheeseman was the great British robbery.
Chuckweed, man. How's Adonis Stevenson getting on Chuckweed?
Oh Jesus. Fucking hell.
Right. Well done to Anthony Joshua. I think Joshua won it this week. Go on, Ozzy, jumping in there.
I'm just laughing at Andrew's comments about Adonis.
There you go.
Let's
finish up, boys. We're gonna finish up now. Episode 345 of the Nuthouse podcast. Anthony Joshua, you are the belly of the week. Congratulations.
Jason's raging. Fuck you too.
Oh, he is.
You're still stoned tonight, Jason. You're still on the old fucking Marrakesh. You're on the old Lemon Haze. The Star Dog, baby. You're on that. You're on the old bongs. Get that.
He's on the uploading shit. Stay off of YouTube. Yeah. As the traveller saying, to call out videos. Stay off the YouTubes.
Is that what you've got to say? You hope Pro Grey wins? Seriously, it's a fight, baby. We'll all lose.
Crying like a little
Josh
bitch.
Loses. I don't smoke weed. Steve, go put that picture up, mate. That he's fucking look like he's like coming off like a 6-day bender, like 10 grams.
That's his Twitter picture. That's his Twitter picture.
Aye, maybe it had the fucking the big
Crying like a little
Coco the
bitch.
Clown fucking hairdo, and his eyes were like beading like red and sweating like a fucking whore. Come on, Jason,
So,
get us close to the picture.
Errol Spence is the Black Jesus. Jason Chuckwoo's the Black Pennywise.
Star Dog, baby.
Right, let's finish up, boys. Thanks for everybody who's come on tonight. We've had a good laugh as always. Wrapping up, Kelly was there with us, Ozzy Smith, Dave the Hater Lowback, Gabe, Andy Patterson, Adam Smido Smith was with us earlier as well. Thanks to Sam Bowen for jumping on around 8:30. We'll catch you all again for episode 346. We'll see you one, Taylor or Progress, same time, same place. I've been Steve Welling. Speak to you all next week. Bye.
2.5 hours